Now, how about that? Wolfpack football hasn't won the last 3 games in the fourth quarter. I'm telling you, you get us there, and we will win it in the fourth quarter. You understand? We will win it in the fourth quarter.
Now keep your paws again when they start shifting and jumping around all that, man. Just keep your paws and be a player. Just do what we've taught to do. Don't get frustrated, you know. Just do what you're taught to do and learn from whatever happens.
One of the great scenes in college football, a sea of red surging through Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's game day in the ACC with championship implications. There is electricity for this matchup between the Seminoles of Florida State and the Wolfpack of NC State. And hello again, everybody. I'm Tim Brandt. Glad to have you along for what really should be a terrific matchup. Now, last year, NC State beat Florida State, which helped Maryland win the title. Could it happen again? Take a look at the ACC standings. Now, if Florida State wins, it's over. Start the celebration. Florida State wins outright. But if NC State wins, here we go again. Maryland wins out. The Terrapins would most likely be the BCS for the second year in a row from the Atlantic Coast Conference. So we bring in Ed Cunningham, and I turn to you, my friend, and I say, hey, these two teams are pretty banged up.
Well, as the season goes on, with the extra games they've been playing this year, the coaches talk about the extra wear and tear on the bodies. And the one thing that's really hurt NC State is injuries in the running game. T.A. McLendon's not 100%. So a lot of the onus on the offense has been falling on Phillip Rivers. The last couple of ball games, he struggled. He threw 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter against Maryland. He threw one last week against UVA. Phillips had a great career, the winningest junior quarterback in the nation. He really has to have his best game today against this Florida State defense.
You talk about Phillip Rivers here of NC State, but how about on the other side with the Seminoles? They've got the young McPherson playing quarterback, and he's going 97 straight passes without an interception.
And that's the whole reason that he's playing. And Bobby Bowden said after the Notre Dame game, Chris Rix had been turning the ball over a little bit, and the players and the coaches wanted to make the change. And Adrian McPherson came in. Now, last week, the coach, as Jeff Bowden, the offense coordinator, said he got a little wily with the football a few times, tried to force it. He did throw 4 touchdown passes, but he did try to stick it in there sometimes where the ball didn't need to try to be fit in. Now, in the running game, all quarterbacks need a good runner. Nick Maddox, who filled in for Greg Jones after his ACL tear, sprained his ankle, missed North Carolina. He's back today. He didn't practice much this week because of that ankle. We'll see if the North Carolina native can go the entire afternoon.
All right, head coach Bobby Bowden is going for the ACC title. But the man who stands in his way is one of his former assistants, Chuck Amato, and he is with Sam Ryan. Sam?
Well, Coach, you did it last year, an emotional win. You stood in Florida State's way of the ACC title, a chance to do it again today. How will this team get it done?
Well, they've got to go out and execute. They got to play a 60-minute game, and we got to win the fourth quarter and can't have turnovers.
You and Bobby Bowden go way back, 18 years on the sideline with him, opposite sidelines now. How difficult is it for you to stand on the opposite sideline?
I'll forget about it as soon as we kick off, but I'll always remember him because he's given me everything I have in life.
Okay, thanks a lot, Coach.
They're all set to play. Here come the Wolfpack of NC State, ready to come out on the field with a record of 9-3. No team in school history has ever won 10 games here. No team in the ACC has ever beaten the Seminoles 2 straight years. Will NC State make history today? Folks, we're about to find out. It's the Seminoles. It's the Wolfpack. It's coming up next on ABC Sports in Raleigh, North Carolina. Florida State rides into Raleigh with a record of 8-3. NC State 9-3. The weather just about perfect. 48 degrees, a little chill in the air, but I will tell you this, folks. In the second half, when that sun goes down, they say it'll drop into the 30s quickly. This is by far the coldest game that Florida State has played this year. NC State won the toss, deferred. Florida State will receive the opening kickoff.
Tim, it's important because after the 9 wins to start the season, then the 3 losses by NC State, and NC State gets off to a fast start defensively, watch for them to bring pressure right away on McPherson.
Number 21, the kicker, is Adam Kiker, and you're looking at Leon Washington, who is very, very dangerous. Number 33 for the Seminoles. Also back there with him is Crefonzo Thorpe. Both of them have speed. The game is on, and this will be Washington 4 yards deep. He'll bring it out. Washington across the 20, breaks it, tackle to the 27-yard line. And that's where the Seminoles will have it. So Florida State's offense averages 34 points a game. It is fast. It is dangerous. Let's meet the man who runs the attack. Here's your quarterback in his words.
Adrian McPherson, Bradenton Southeast High School, Mr. Football and Mr. Basketball. First time in the history of Florida.
A.D. McPherson is a 19-year-old sophomore. He's 3-0 as a starter since replacing Chris Rix. 97 straight passes without an interception. Here's the pitch back to Maddox. They hem him in quickly, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage, maybe. Stopped by Roger Pollard. Now let's take a look at our AT&T Wireless starting lineups, backs and receivers. Nick Maddox. He had that bad ankle. It's better now. He gets the start. He was the ball carrier, and he's from right here in North Carolina. Anquan Bowden had 3 touchdowns last week. He's a big threat wide receiver. The O-line averages over 300 pounds. Todd Williams is 325. And Marambo is back at center. He's been hobbled with a bad knee. 2nd down and 10. McPherson's first pass. And it's incomplete. Dropped at the 35. It was intended for Robert Morgan. Defensively for NC State, Sean Price has 8 sacks on that defensive line. Drew Wimsett has 4. The defense gives up only 19 points a game. Linebackers, folks, right square in the middle is D'Antonio Burnett, a throwback. Watch number 45 all day, averages 14 tackles a game. In the secondary, Marcus Houston is hurt, sprained ankle, so Greg Golden starts, and the former running back will be matched up with Anquan Bowden a lot. Both are Florida natives. There's probably going to be some talking between them today. 3rd down and long. Here's the completion across the middle. This is Robinson out to the 48-yard line, and a flag comes down late.
Right before that 3rd down play, Nick Maddox limped off the field. Bobby Bowden yesterday when we were visiting with him said that he was able to practice on Tuesday. They had a very, very difficult practice Tuesday. He was not able to practice as you get an incidental face mask on NC State.
This is not the start the Wolfpack wanted.
And here comes Maddox as he goes to cut, and all the pursuit by NC State. Doesn't look like much of a hit, and that just tells me that that ankle is not. You can see Nick Maddox is so much quicker than that when he is healthy. And you can just tell that he is favoring that ankle because that's not much of a hit to re-sprain that ankle.
So 1st down as Florida State moves into NC State territory. Wolfpack's defense has only allowed 19 points per game. They're giving some ground here. Pack shows blitz, back off. Washington gets to the outside. And there's some quickness, and another flag is down. And this is thrown in the area where they call holding.
Yeah, it looked like the defensive end of that side may have gotten a piece of the face mask. George Anderson, as he was fighting off the block, reached out and maybe got another incidental face mask. Yep.
And so 2 penalties, and Chuck Amato not happy with that.
And this is one of those ones you accept, even though it was a good run by Leon Washington. So you can remain in 1st down.
Chuck Amato is looking for his 25th win as head coach of the Wolfpack. He served 2 decades as defensive assistant at Florida State, and there's the penalty.
Yeah, just George Anderson trying to make a play, and Florida State now going right up to the line of scrimmage. A little bit of a hurry-up look to NC State.
Robinson in motion. 1st down to give to the tailback. That's Washington, and he's tripped up in a hurry. They lost a yard.
Excuse me, Tim. Take a look at the numbers between Florida State offensively, the #1 yardage offense in the ACC, against the #1 yardage defense in the ACC. And, you know, Tim, you mentioned that 19 points per game that they're giving up. This defense has played well all year. Everyone talked about that 9-0 start, and were they for real? They played 2 1AA teams, and then the stretch where they've lost 3 tight ball games in a row. And through that, they've given up just under 20 points per game in those 3 losses. They've played very well through the entire season.
Second down and 12 for the Noles. Out of the gun. McPherson will tuck it away and run. He's got room inside the 30. To the 20, to the 18, to the 17-yard line goes A.D. McPherson. A gain of 21 yards before he's chased out of bounds.
And this is one of the things that when you look at a quarterback, a young quarterback, and this is a true sophomore, Adrian McPherson. He is not a redshirt sophomore, so he's only in his 2nd year on campus. Watch when the pocket collapses to the outside where he goes. Up into the pocket. And that's where you're really going to find your positive yards, because a lot of young guys, they want to bail to the outside because of their athletic ability, but he does such a nice job of finding the middle of that pocket.
Seminoles making this look way too easy for the first drive of the game. First down for the Noles. Play action. McPherson goes to the corner, looks for Bowden. Incomplete, overthrown. No. Got a little personal interest in that one. Hope that wasn't number 32 I just saw in that safety spot.
Kevin Brand out there, his son. But he's playing against an awfully good quarterback. Carson Palmer,
sure is.
yeah, he's put himself right in the hunt for the Heisman.
Second down and 10 for Florida State. Flags fly.
False start. I'll lip sync. We're having a problem with the referee's mic, obviously.
Bobby Bowden, second all-time winningest Division I-A coach in history. 323 wins, bookended in the history books by Joe Paterno and Bear Bryant.
It's funny, we were talking to him yesterday about his road to Florida State. He was an assistant there under Bill Peterson, then he got the head coaching job at West Virginia. On his way back from a bowl game, Florida State was looking for a coach. He said, yeah, we just went in there. Weren't even really thinking about taking the job. It kind of almost ended up by accident. He said, we got there, it was warm, it wasn't snowing, we decided to stay.
Second down and long for the Noles. McPherson, backside pressure and the sack. Thunder Dan Burnett with his first sack of the ball game. And folks, we told you to follow 45. He packs a punch. A loss of 9.
You know, you talk to Chuck Amato, he's such an emotional guy, but yesterday nearly got choked up just talking about D'Antonio Burnett coming on the blitz to the outside as the Mike linebacker. Nobody picks him up, but just talked about him with such reverence. He's 5'10", 230 pounds, plays every play like it's his last, and he now leads NC State with 9 sacks on the season.
Crowd now becomes a factor, and a timeout is taken. Florida State wants time to rethink.
And that's a big sack, too, because that brought the field goal back from a chip shot to one of about 48 yards or so.
Not unusual. 43 sacks for this NC State defense this year, leads the Atlantic Coast Conference.
And they've already set a school record. They said it a long time ago, back in '92, they had 35 sacks. And, you know, this is a defense that hasn't had to blitz a lot because of George Anderson and Sean Price and Drew Wimpson on the outside. But when you have a guy like Burnett, and he uses his vision so well to find a seam and get to the outside, he's really, really dangerous.
Let's go down on the field. Well, we'll keep it here for the time being. You know, we tapped into Dan Burnett the last couple days, and we'll tell you that story in just a minute. Right now, let's go down to Sam.
Well, guys, the latest on Nick Maddox. He tweaked his ankle, the right ankle that had been bothering him. What they did, they put a small brace around his ankle. They wrapped him up, and he's trying to go back into the game. Right now, he's running some sprints along the sideline. He's getting ready to go back into the game, guys.
He just didn't look good on that first series. He looked like just not the Nick Maddox that we're used to seeing. He was such a good compliment when Greg Jones was healthy. He was the power bruiser. Maddox is really a shifty guy. To me, I think you got to just stay with Leon Washington and then get Thomas Clayton, the other true freshman, in the ballgame.
Third down and 24 for Florida State. Out of the gun, the blitz comes. McPherson rolls, and he's taken down again at the 40. Sean Price with his 9th sack of the year. There's the strongest guy on this team, number 56, and runs a 4.440 with a 37-inch vertical leap.
Well, and once again, a sack hurts Florida State's chances for a field goal. This was a complete coverage sack. It was an all-out blitz, all man-to-man coverage down the field, and the NC State defensive backfield, minus their best cover guy, Marcus Hudson, held up very well.
So Chance Gwaltney comes on, the senior, having his best year, averaging 41 yards a punt, standing on his own 45, and drops the football. It's blocked. NC State's got it. NC State, very Virginia Tech-like. The Wolfpack has blocked 39 kicks since 1998, and they get a big one here.
All set up by a drop snap by Gwaltney. This was just a safe defense in there, and all those guys come in, and Gwaltney just cannot handle the low snap.
Wolfpack of NC State with a defensive stop takes over with great field position up at the 46-yard line. First down, State. Rivers out of the gun and throws incomplete. It was intended for Chance Moyer, who has only one reception all year. We get our first look at a very capable offense with the Wolfpack quarterback. Let's meet him.
Phil Rivers, Athens High School, Athens, Alabama. I'm one touchdown pass away from breaking the career touchdown passing record at NC State.
Philip Rivers, coached by his dad, was the Alabama High School Player of the Year. And here in Raleigh, 24 wins at NC State as a starter, the best win total in the nation as a junior. Second down and 10. For an option. Pitch back to McLendon. Not much there. Now let's take a look at the AT&T Wireless starting lineups. Backs and receivers. T.A. McLendon, who was the ball carrier. He's 2 touchdowns away from setting the school record for rushing touchdowns in a season. Peterson is the senior captain. Cottry leads the ACC in receiving yards. The offensive line is solid, giving up only 9 sacks all year, the fewest in the conference. But today, Ashley Wingate starts for the injured Shane Riggs. Riggs has an injured knee, but he probably will play.
Riggs, a guy that, because of his toughness, former defensive player, they really miss his nastiness inside.
Burton also injured, but he too may play. Gray in there right now. Third down. Over the middle, Hicks. Sterling Hicks has enough for the first down to the 40. Pickup of 10. Defensively for Florida State, Darnell Dockett from Burtonsville, Maryland, 48 tackles for losses. Alonzo Jackson has 9 sacks. It's a very quick front. The linebackers really good. Bulware and Augustin have been on a tear. Pope is the leading tackler. And in the secondary, 2 sophomores, 2 juniors. Stanford Samuels is playing well. The other junior is Rufus Brown. Those are your 2 cover guys.
Samuels 2 picks 2 weeks ago against Georgia Tech. One he returned for a touchdown. One ended the game with 17 seconds left. He has a knack for being in the right place at the right time.
On first down, Rivers looks deep. Incomplete. Pretty good coverage by Jerome Carter, but it was intended for Cottry, and it's incomplete.
Cottry, a guy who's been banged up. Take a look at him right here, the inside receiver. Both him and Hicks running vertical. I got to think somebody there ran the wrong route. I mean, I don't know why you would have Hicks and Cottry. It looked like Hicks was very confused off the line of scrimmage. You're not going to run 2 verticals to the exact same spot.
Cottry leads the ACC in receiving yards with 87 yards per game, and NC State has a little bit of confusion and takes a timeout. Brian Peterson is the guy that Rivers is talking to and explaining what took place. He better explain it to Chuck Amato, because he wants to hang on to those timeouts when he needs them.
Well, and last year, NC State went down to Tallahassee, and they shifted and moved and absolutely confused Florida State's defense. And Marty Galbraith, the offensive coordinator, said, we're going to do the same thing today, and we've already seen that. A bunch of multi-shifts, get shifting, then motion, and I think NC State's more confused now than Florida State is. Well, Larry Johnson's putting up great numbers, so segue into the NC State offense against the Florida State defense. 35 points per game as way down from when they started the season. The first 9 games of the year for NC State, They were averaging 40.9 points per game, nearly 41 points per game. And in the last three, those three losses, they've averaged just over a touchdown at 15.7 points. And a lot of that has to do, Tim, with the lack of the running game. Phillip Rivers has struggled a little bit late in the game, but he hasn't had any help. T.A. McLendon, the fine running back, true freshman. He's been banged around, and really it's been a struggle trying to run the game. It's really drastic when you take a look at the difference between the first 9 games and the last 3 games. And everyone was asking, is this team for real? And they've had tight games, but again, you just have to go to the rushing yards per game and really the turnover margin. Plus 12 in the first 9 and minus 5 in the last 3. And unfortunately, a lot of those turnovers have been in the fourth quarter.
Well, you make an excellent point. NC State ranked 6th in the nation in that scoring offense prior to those last 3 games, like you mentioned. 2nd down and 10. They run a reverse. And now Peterson's going to try to throw. He was a high school quarterback, but instead tucks it away, stays in bounds, and is inside the 30. Brian Peterson, the former high school quarterback, on a reverse pass and then tucked it and ran it for 13 yards.
And he's one of the guys who's been banged up. Jericho Contry had a bad sprained ankle. They didn't think he was going to play against UVA. All he did was have a 100-yard receiving day. And Brian Peterson, what a great fake. He turned and looked back. He was looking at the diamond vision probably to see if anybody was coming from Florida State. He was out of bounds a little earlier.
He didn't fool Dockett. He just outran him.
Sure did.
Sean Burton in the game now with a broken hand. First down State. Rivers to throw. Has it complete to Edwards. Buying time, stepping up in the pocket. And if there's one place where Phillip Rivers has improved, it has to be his mobility and movement in the pocket.
Well, he says that's the hardest thing he works on during the offseason when he has some extra time, is finding places in the pocket where there's a throwing lane. Watch it, just little baby steps. You don't want to take big, long steps. You want to keep your feet on the ground as much as possible, so when you do decide to throw it, you have a base from which to throw from.
2nd down and 4. McLendon almost breaks it. There's a flag down at the 20.
You can almost bet the house that that's going to be holding.
It is. Phillip Rivers has a pretty good drive going. But that won't help.
No, that's a big penalty. You had a first down inside the 20-yard line, and now you're going to have 2nd and about 12 from the 30. And now you're in a situation where you're playing to Florida State's strength, which is allowing their defensive ends and maybe a blitz to get pressure on Phillip Rivers.
2nd down and 12 is a lot of movement by the NC State offense. Peterson and Hicks go to the top of your screen. Edwards at the bottom, out of the gun. Quick pass to Hicks. Picks up a block and fumbles the ball. And NC State gets it back. So it'll bring up 3rd down and about 5.
If you saw Phillip Rivers right before the snap, he was pointing to 2 blitzers to his left. And a lot of people wonder why a quarterback does that. He's pointing to tell the running back who he has and then who the... Watch right here at the last second. He saw 2 coming off of that side, and he knows he doesn't have a blocker, so he has to come back to his hot read, which was Hicks.
They need 5 for the first. It'll be close. I don't think Peterson got enough. He'll be about a yard short.
Well, and I tell you, the struggles that NC State has had with their kickers earlier in the year, Adam Kiker had a bad back. He couldn't kick. Austin Herbert struggled a little bit. If I got to go for it here. I just don't want to risk missing a field goal right now.
I don't think they're hesitating about it, keeping Rivers on the field.
Oh, yeah.
But the play clock's already down to 9.
Got to go, and they got the big people in. Just pound it straight ahead.
They're not going to get it. Play clock's at 5. They need a timeout.
That's 2 timeouts with 6:35 left to go in the first quarter.
Can't hang that one on Rivers.
No, that was a personnel snafu. I don't think there was any doubt Chuck Amato was going to go for it, and it's the proper call. They just didn't know. Marty Galbraith didn't get in which personnel he wanted. They were trying to get John Richer in the game late. He just got there too late to get a play going.
6:34 to play in the first quarter. We're still scoreless in Raleigh. And a terrific scene at Carter Finley Stadium this afternoon. Florida State and NC State. And the Wolfpack with NC State facing 4th down and 1.
A late substitution and shift. They're trying to confuse Florida State.
Rivers is going to take it around the corner. He's got the first. He's not the most mobile quarterback, but he gets the first and probably more after the late hit.
Yeah. I believe it was Alan Augustin who got in there late. Took a shot on Rivers. I really like this call by Marty Galbraith.
After the play was over, with a dead ball, personal foul on the defense, half the distance to the goal, first down.
I will tell you this, though, folks. Rivers is 6'5", 236 pounds. He's strong, and he can take a hit. He's not going to back off.
Well, it's not often that your quarterback outweighs a linebacker, but Alan Augustin under 210 pounds. Former walk-on. He's been playing very well. He's very active in the middle, but undersized.
First down and goal for NC State. McLendon looks for a block. Good tackle on the corner by Stanford Samuels.
Oh, and he gets up. Boy, McLendon's really dragging that right arm. And that's the arm that he wears the cast. He can only carry the ball in his left arm. He had an AC separation in his right shoulder. Basically a separated shoulder against Maryland. Was hurt against UVA, and boy, he really looks like he's a lot of pain. This is a great hit by Stanford Samuels. See how the ball's in the left hand? He cannot carry it in his right hand, so he has to take all the punishment on that right shoulder, and he really got popped that time.
Second down and goal for NC State. This is Josh Brown. Inside the 5, and again, Alan Augustin makes the tackle. These 3 linebackers for Florida State have just been on a tear the last 3 games. 113 tackles between them.
Well, and it's become the strength of this defense, and that's an awfully conservative call as McLendon is. Well, I'll be honest, you know, as bad as that shoulder is and the shot that he took, and as long as it's taking a shake hit off right now, I'm not so sure we're going to see him again. They got a little trick play here, it looks like.
Third down and goal. Incomplete, intended for Burton. Second pass we've seen Peterson throw or attempt. First one he tucked, this one he threw, incomplete.
All right, second and long, running the ball on second and long, goal to go. Sometimes you just got to throw it. But now you do a trick play to a tight end from a wide receiver, and the tight end has a broken hand. I don't like that call by Marty Galbraith. I mean, Burton broke his hand last week. He's supposed to have surgery this week and decided not to get ready.
Peterson actually tucked the first one. This was Golden that threw this one. This is a 22-yard field goal attempt. And Kiker gives NC State the lead. So the Wolfpack scores first.
I mean, I know you go down your list and you want to try to get some tricks and some motion and everything like that, but throwing the ball to Sean Burton with a broken hand, I'm not so sure that was the right call.
4:38 to play in the first. 3-0. Pack. So NC State wanted more, but got 3. And the Wolfpack on the board first. Now Kiker will kick off, and boy, the cover teams better be careful because Leon Washington is dangerous, and Grafonzo Thorpe is one of the fastest guys in the South. This will be Washington at the goal line. Breaks a tackle, and gets all the way out near the 30-yard line. So again, good field position for Florida State.
Let's go ahead and take a look at our Dodge defensive playbook. They're trying to set up a bunch of different motion. NC State, Brian Peterson's lined up underneath the right guard, and then they come over into a quad set to the right. All of the defenders from Florida State, all they're doing is playing zone. And watch, they're not even going to come up and follow the play fake as they just start to back out into the zone. And this would have to be a perfect throw under perfect circumstances, and it's a running back slash defensive back throwing to a tight end with a broken hand. I just didn't like the call.
So Golden 22 try to pass. Peterson number 2 try to pass, and 2-2-2 didn't equal 6. Here's a big gain around the corner by Maddox. So it's good to see Nick Maddox back in the game and finally stopped by Terrence Martin.
I know you weren't a math major at Maryland, but that was pretty quick.
Thank you.
And Sean Burton was a guy, all the injuries that have kind of stacked up here of late for NC State, an amazingly long season. 9-3, this is their 13th game of the year because all those early games, the extra weekend. But Burton was a guy who wasn't even expected to play. He told the coach, "You're crazy. I've got to be on the field," but just don't think he's the guy you want to look to down in the red zone.
2nd down and 3 for Florida State. This ball thrown incomplete, may have been tipped.
Well, the good news for NC State, though, was their offense went out, had a lengthy drive, and their defense that came out and played so well in the first series comes back out, and it's just like it's their first series all over again. They can still have all of that intensity, and now the crowd trying to help them out on 3rd and 3.
Anquan Bowden comes back into the game with the play. Maddox the setback. 3rd down. This is Bowden. He's got the first to the 45-yard line. Greg Golden, who threw the pass attempt for NC State, made the tackle, now playing defense.
Boy, is he given a lot of cushion, too. Anquan Bowden is really turning into a fantastic receiver. I mean, that's just alignment. Golden being a little nervous about Bowden. He had 3 touchdowns last week against North Carolina, but on 3rd and 3, you give me that much cushion with that good a receiver. That's just a pitch and catch, pretty easy.
Pickup of 9, 1st down. Pitch back to Maddox, gets a block. But then it closes quickly, and there he is again, D'Antonio Burnett with it. They continue to work on Antoine Marambo, and Marambo injured his knee against Louisville. He injured it again against Georgia Tech. We had the Florida State game last week, and he didn't get much playing time. So Castillo will come in and take his place.
And Castillo, a young guy who's just kind of waiting his turn. He played very well last week against North Carolina. Very physical. But Marambo's really one of those guys, 5th-year senior. He's played a lot of ball, and I was talking to Jeff Bowden yesterday. He said, you know, I like Castillo. I think he's going to be a really good player, the sophomore. But, boy, you hate, especially at the most important communication position on the line, the center. You hate to lose a guy with this much experience.
The offensive line protected McPherson pretty well against Georgia Tech. Only 1 sack in that game. They protected well against North Carolina last week with Marambo out of there. David Castillo is about the same size, a 300-pounder. But he's a lot younger, as you said. Marambo a senior and Castillo just a sophomore.
But the guy up there that they always rely on is Brett Williams, number 72. He was voted by the defensive coordinators in this league last year as the top blocking lineman, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. For a big guy at 6'6", 310, he's got great feet. I think he's going to project to that tough left tackle spot in the NFL.
Williams, all ACC, captain of the offense. 2nd down and 10. McPherson again feels the heat. Now throws and has Bowden. He'll be short of the 1st down, taken down rudely at the 47-yard line by Lamont Reed.
Well, yesterday when we were chatting with Jeff Bowden about Bowden, you know, he was a quarterback coming in. The coaches said that he could play quarterback, but he said, no, I want to play wide receiver. He had that ACL injury last year, was a little hesitant at the beginning of the year, and now you see him and the young McPherson really starting to get a click.
3rd down and 1. Who moved first?
They got to get NC State. And Castillo, sophomore center, very wisely. Jarek Hall was definitely in the neutral zone. The number 93, and Castillo very wisely gave it to McPherson, who, another sophomore, took a knee.
So that'll be the first down. Keep in mind, Florida State's first possession. The Noles got all the way down to the 16.
On the defense. First down.
Noles got to the 16, but came away empty.
Boy, I tell you, that is a really, really heads-up play by David Castillo. Young player with not a lot of experience. The snap count was on 2 or 3. He snapped it on 1 as soon as he saw the defender in the neutral zone.
Bowden on first down, gets a block, makes a cut, and picks up 7 yards. Yeah, they'll mark it at about 6. It'll bring up a long 4, almost 5.
Well, Ohio State did their part earlier today, pulling out a big win against Michigan. So we'll see if Miami can do theirs.
Maddox breaks another tackle, gets to the 35. Ball's loose, but they say he was down. Drew Wimsatt with a nice play for NC State defensively.
Well, Nick Maddox must be over there at every chance he gets, telling the coaching staff, I'm able to play. This is his last game as a collegiate in his home state. He was this state's player of the year 4 years ago. A lot of people were surprised when he left, but he just doesn't quite have the quicks that I'm used to seeing him with.
1:15 to play in the first quarter. Third down and 4. State shows blitz. Incomplete. And the Pack makes another stop defensively.
Well, I tell you, Bobby's he's got everybody grouped over there. Not quite sure what he's going to do here at the 35, but McPherson had what he wanted. He just didn't get that ball thrown. He had the slant again. Golden is giving all kinds of space to Anquan Bowden.
So Chance Waltney, number 37, comes on to punt.
I'd be really aware of a fake if I'm NC State, boy. You better make sure you know who's eligible right now.
High, spiraling pooch punt. This will hit inside the 10 and be downed at the 2. Gets a great mark. They'll put it at the 1. A 34-yard punt down by Jared Hetzel. Take a look at our Tostitos BCS standings on this rivalry weekend. Ohio State with a big win today over Michigan.
Yeah, and they'll lock up the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl bid. It's up to Miami. They've got Syracuse and then Virginia Tech, although Virginia Tech's a little down.
Washington State still in the hunt, playing Washington today.
And then Florida State, they're at 12.
Pretty interesting. First down, NC State out of the end zone. Rivers throws deep. Incomplete. It was intended for Cotchery. He's got a strong arm.
Yes, he does. Well, it would help to explain. A lot of people, Florida State beat Maryland head-to-head. And so you would think even if Florida State lost today with one loss in the conference that they would end up going with the automatic BCS bowl berth. But in the ACC, if you finish 5 spots lower in the BCS than the team that you beat end up going. And that could happen if Florida State loses today and Maryland wins out.
Maryland's 8-2, 4-1 in the conference and playing Virginia. That game starts at 5:30 Eastern time. Not much room up the middle. Pickup of about a yard for T.A. McLendon, and that's where Kendall Pope met him rather rudely.
Well, we got a couple of backs who just aren't 100%, because if you saw NC State earlier in the year before T.A. McLendon had banged his shoulder up, that's the most I've ever seen him tiptoe up into the line of scrimmage. And we saw him the last series come off dangling that right arm. He separated it against Maryland. He hurt it earlier in the season. He's got that cast on the right wrist. He's given everything he has, but he doesn't have everything.
On third down, the Pack needs 8. This is McLendon. Can he get to the outside? Does. Down the sidelines. McLendon to the 20. First down, move the chains. They needed 8. He got 18. spectacular day in Raleigh, North Carolina. More than 52,000 fans have jammed into Carter Finley Stadium for a game that has championship implications. Florida State wins, they win the ACC title. NC State wins, and all of a sudden the door opens wide for the Maryland Terrapins. First down and 10, NC State. Rivers. Back to the line of scrimmage. Alan Augustin then made the tackle.
Go back to that 3rd and 8. It was such a critical down because NC State was pinned deep in their territory. They don't pick this up. They're in a hole. But watch T.A. McLendon. He gets the ball. He's got to put it in his left hand. And then right here, as the defender, Leroy Smith, comes up, he switches it to the outside so he can stiff arm Smith away to finish the run. And then after that, he switches it back so that if he takes a hit, the ball doesn't pop out because of that cast that he wears. It's a little unusual to be switching that ball around, but you got to go with what works. And what works for T.A. McLendon is I got to use the good hand and the hand nearest the defender to bat him away.
Terrific freshman. Here he is. Big hole. T.A. McLendon out to the 35. Folks, he is tough to bring down. He broke 24 tackles at Texas Tech. He's also a good receiver and strong after the catch. Picks up 12.
Well, the guy who's in there now, Shane Riggs, the left guard for NC State. He was questionable, a former defensive lineman. He's the one who's going to open up this hole for T.A. McLendon. Good scoop block. Boy, that's just great pounding straight ahead. And Riggs, they weren't sure if he was going to play. They need his toughness inside. A good drive like that time by number 50.
This drive started just outside the 1. First down State. Sprint option. McLendon on the corner and stumbles. Picks up 2 yards. Again, Augustin had pressure. Forced the early pitch.
Well, you can't say enough about T.A. McLendon's toughness, though. His productivity has gone down quite a bit as the season has worn on. Chuck Amato said that he hurt that shoulder actually about the 3rd day they were in pads, so he's been hurt since August.
This is a young guy who was playing high school football this time last year and had 71 touchdowns in his senior year. Second down for NC State. Josh Brown gets a block in the corner, gets across the 40 out to the 45-yard line and close to another first down. Finally stopped by Brian McFadden. This will depend on the mark. He may be just short.
Well, you said he got a block. I'll give it to you. Chance Moyer attempted to throw a block. Watch this whiff. It's effective because he gets in the way. He's going for the cut block. Got the leg up, trying to get a little kick block in there. But Josh Brown is the quicks to T.A. McLendon's pop. Boy, Phillip Rivers took a little shot to the chops there.
Brown suffered a concussion last week against Virginia. He's having a solid season, though. 404 total yards.
You know, when they get those guys healthy, Josh Brown just a sophomore, McLendon a true freshman, that's always what you want as T.A. McLendon goes over 1,000 yards for the season. You know, if you can get a guy like McLendon who's a power guy, he's got plenty of speed, but then you get that guy Josh Brown in there. It's always nice to have 2 different type backs. Defense gets used to one guy pounding them, then you have a guy like Brown who can bounce it to the outside.
It's amazing that he goes over 1,000 yards. This from a young 18-year-old who had surgery October 1st, had that screw inserted into the fractured bone in his right wrist. He was playing again by October 7th. He is just a tough guy.
Well, and he didn't get the start until the Massachusetts game at the end of September. Chuck was going to start him for the Texas Tech game. Freshman forgot to set his alarm. He was late for the bus, so Chuck started Josh Brown against Texas Tech instead of T.A. McLendon.
3rd down and 1. He got his leg caught under there. They were just throwing him around. Again, it was Augustin.
Boy, that's awfully close.
I don't know if he got it.
Yeah, they're going to have to measure.
He got
again.
a good mark, though.
He got a great mark. Phillip Rivers, who has 10 rushing touchdowns on the year. He's actually 5th in the the ACC in rushing touchdowns. He's a big guy, almost 240 pounds. But boy, did he get a good spot or what? I still don't think he got it.
Just short. Got to punt it away. Crowd screaming to go for it.
Oh no, they're sending McLendon and Rivers back in. It looks like they're going to go for it. Boy, that's just great defensive push. Darnell Dockett's the guy down there on the bottom who did just a fantastic job of submarining. But Tim, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the old try to fake them and get them offsides here.
4th down, and you saw how far to go. Rivers throws the ball ahead. That should be enough for the first. Move the chains.
Well, and you got a quarterback 6'5", 236 pounds. Shane Riggs, the left guard.
This time, I don't think he got as good a mark, but certainly it's enough to move the chains. 1st down. Guys with the chain gang, they were going to come off for a measurement.
Let's get back on TV. Good penetration again by Florida State, but it was that little ball over. Ooh, that ball came loose fairly quickly. I'm not so sure that's a fumble. I would assume that one of those red shirts recovered it, but it looked like that ball came loose before the play was dead.
1st down, Wolfpack. McLendon met in the hole. Back to the line of scrimmage. There was Kendall Pope, who filled the hole quickly, and the leading tackler for the Seminoles tagged him pretty good.
That's the one thing Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator at Florida State, has said that they have improved drastically is their tackling. And a lot of that has to do with Florida State has always rotated a lot of people. But earlier this year, Mickey was so nervous about some of the young guys who were making mental errors whenever they got in the game. He said, I just didn't feel like I could rotate them. And now he's able to get some of those younger guys in, and his veterans can be a little fresher as the game wears on, and it's really paid off in the second half, in the last half of the season.
2nd down and 10 for State. Throw to their tight end, Burton. He won't have enough for the 1st down, but they move the chains, or they get a good mark near the end of the chain. Gain of 8. Bring up 3rd down and 2. It's a good drive for NC State for several reasons. Not only are they moving the ball, but they're eating a lot of clock and keeping that very dangerous Florida State offense on the sidelines.
A little delay by the tight end, Burton. Broke his hand against UVA, and Florida State expecting him to stay in to pass block. He gets out late and has to catch that ball with one hand because of that cast on his left hand.
12th play of this drive. Play clock down to 3. And they don't get it off, or do they? No.
Well, and Phillip Rivers goes right up to Jed Paulson, his center. He was calling for the snap in the silent snap count.
Prompted the snap, delay of game on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty.
What you do when you set up the silent snap count, the center puts his head down between his legs and he looks at the quarterback and he's looking for a foot or a hand that says the quarterback is ready to take the snap. And Paulson did not see Phillip Rivers calling for the ball, and therefore it was late. They didn't get it off on time.
That's a bad thing when you don't see the guy you're snapping to.
Yeah, you might want to know where he is.
3rd down and 7. Rivers steps up in the pocket, unloads it, 1st down to Brown. Josh Brown was there. He was the safety valve and had just enough for the 1st down. So Rivers again buys some time, moves his feet, and makes the completion.
And that's one thing that they have worked so hard here. Mike Canales was hired as the quarterback coach when Norm Chow left 2 years ago to go out to USC and work with Carson Palmer. They worked on his footwork, and they continue to do that today. And he is just so good in the pocket.
Listen to this crowd. Again, they don't like the mark. It looked like he had plenty for the 1st. But now they're going to bring out the chain gang.
You're going to have to give overtime pay to these guys carrying the chains before this is over.
Got it. Offensive line, the heart and soul of this NC State's success story continues to play well.
A lot of that has to do, they got two former defensive linemen in there, Shane Riggs and Sean Locklear, both of the guards. Brings a little different toughness and nastiness to this offensive line, and that's what all the coaches who play against NC State say is their biggest improvement over last year is the toughness of their offensive line.
Rivers on first down gives it to Brown. Big hole right side to the 40-yard line. Inside the 40. Kendall Pope made the tackle. But the Wolfpack continues to move with an impressive drive.
Well, they continue to keep a couple of guys who are banged up. Brown, who had that concussion you mentioned against Virginia, and T.A. McLendon, who's got the bad shoulder and the bad wrist. They're just rotating those guys out, in and out almost every play. This offensive line starting to pound a little bit on Florida State.
Second down and 6. Not a bad place here to take a shot deep. Play action. Rivers looks deep, throws out there, has a man. It's Cottrey. Cottrey's first catch down to the 22-yard line. Pickup of 18. It's first down, NC State. Throw back to Peterson. Again looks to throw, and then just throws it away.
Okay, other than the busted play where Peterson was going to throw it downfield and made a really nice play of getting down for about a 12-yard gain in the first quarter, these trick plays, I understand that they want to confuse Florida State with things changing up with personnel and motion and everything else, but they haven't fooled Florida State, and they don't need to fool them. They're pounding. They've almost got 80 yards rushing. McLendon and Brown are running well. I'd throw away the trick plays and just start playing ball. Just start going right at them. It's been working.
Edwards in motion on second down. McLendon back in the middle to the 20-yard line. Well, they're just trying everything they can to get Brian Peterson the ball. Here's a guy who has at least one catch in 38 consecutive games, has one this afternoon, has that 13-yard run that was for a big first down when they needed it. And he's attempted 2 passes, actually 1 pass. He tucked the first one away, but it was a design pass play.
Well, they've gotten themselves a little bit behind the chains now. Mickey Andrews on 3rd and long. Now he knows what you have to do, and he's got the upper hand. He can either bring some pressure. He's got a 3-man line up there, but now you can bring a blitz or bring one extra guy and play zone behind it.
Rivers has hit 6 of his last 7 passes. They need one here on 3rd and long. And just dumps this one at the feet of his tight end, Burton. Smart play, doesn't want to throw a pick. Get rid of it. Don't take the sack. You're in field goal range.
But I think that the offensive staff of NC State is outthinking itself, Tim. They're marching up and down the field. And at certain times, I mean, you know, Rivers is a good enough quarterback to play drop-back ball. You don't have to try to dink and dunk over the middle to a guy with a broken hand.
Adam Kiker comes on for the field goal attempt from 37 yards out. He's 1 for 4 at this distance. It's a fake. Ball's loose. Florida State has it. It's Boulware. Michael Boulware inside the 20, and he'll score for Florida State. 81-yard return of the fumble by Michael Boulware. Chris Young fumbled the ball, and Boulware was right there. And folks, for a 6'3", 220-pounder, he's got excellent speed.
I just, you got a 3rd-string quarterback, and I don't want to keep hammering what's going on with NC State, but
On the touchdown run, after the play was over, with a dead ball, personal foul, on the defense.
they got a personal foul on Florida State, so they'll make this a long PAT. But, well, I tell you, you know, that's a bunch of trick plays that NC State's been running. Only one of them's really worked, that 13-yard run by Brian Peterson, who made a good play, and now one blows up in their face in a game that everything they're doing offensively is working except the trick plays.
And it is against Florida State. Ron Cherry, our referee today. And so a game that NC State seemed to be in control of now all of a sudden changes dramatically on the Bullware return of 81 yards.
Boy, how much momentum just switched hands. That's unbelievable.
So Xavier Beitia comes on for the extra point. And I mean a long extra point. But he's solid, and it's good. So Xavier Beitia adds the extra point, and it's 7-3 Florida State. 7:35 to play in the half. The fumble by Young. The return by Bullware. And Florida State is taking the lead in this ball game. Well, the mental aspect of this game has changed dramatically. NC State was in charge, controlling the momentum, and really fired up. And then the return by Bullware of the fumble, which is now officially 84 yards on the return. And it's 7-3 Florida State.
When you always look at momentum in ball games, and if this game ends up going Florida State's way, that is a huge turning point with 7:35 to go in the second quarter.
Beitia's kick takes him 5 yards deep. Golden will down it there. And he'll bring it out to the 20.
Well, Chris Young is on this fake. He's trying to run an option with the kicker, Adam Kiker. That's tough to say. They're running the option actually at Bullware. And as Young goes, as soon as he gets there, he's got to tuck that ball. He never tucked it away, and he's your third-string quarterback. You know, he wouldn't have had the first down even if he would have got tackled there. He was about 2 yards short as it was from picking up the first down. And to me, NC State needs to just throw away the trick part of the playbook, because the thing that's been working is just straight-ahead runs with McLendon and Brown. Why not just go back to that?
First down for the Wolfpack. Ball at the 20. McLendon greeted at the line of scrimmage, and I mean he is tattooed. Broderick Bunkley got there first, and then the linebackers filled. Just like you draw it up. Well, Florida State forces turnovers, folks. There's no question about it. They're plus 12 in the turnover margin. They rank 14th nationally. And it was the forced fumble and return for a touchdown that's given them the lead here.
Well, and now NC State in their last 3 and almost a half ball games, -6 in the turnover margin, and it's really been a problem for them. And that time Young just didn't tuck it away once he made his decision.
Rivers throws a strike, not enough for the first, but Hicks is out to the 26-yard line. Keep in mind that last drive by State started at the 1, went 15 plays, and they got nothing out of it, but instead gave up 7.
And you hate to this early in the ball game say it's a big third down. I think this is a big third down, Tim. I really do. The momentum was so clearly for Chuck Amato's Wolfpack, and right now, if they have to punt away, I think the momentum's going to stay with Florida State for a while.
There's the turnover story we were talking about. Seminoles ranked 14th nationally, and NC State needs a timeout. Well, the junior's got all he can handle here this afternoon. Rivers just trying to stay in control of his team. You see the time remaining in the first half, 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Timeout. We'll take one as well. We'll be back. Now it's time for our Aflac trivia question. This week's question is, who was the head coach of Florida State before Bobby Bowden? Terrific question. I had 2 guys jump the mine and didn't realize there was a guy in between.
I had just gotten out of diapers, so I got no chance.
You're still in them. Third down for NC State. They need 4. Throw it to Sterling Hicks. He's going to be short of the first down. Hicks has become their big third down receiver, but he never got the distance he needed. Never got past the sticks.
Boy, that was a nice job by Jarrell Hudson. Brother Marcus plays for NC State. Well, not playing today because of a bad ankle. But watch this hit on Hicks. Little crossing route. underneath. Rivers was looking deep and couldn't find it and had to come back.
It's a high spiraling punt. Washington will fair catch it at the 35. So a punt of 36 yards. That's an impressive family, the Hudsons. They have 5 kids that played college.
The whole family's here. They're trying to stay right down the middle on who to cheer for. Hudson, Jarrell had a bad ankle. Both of the Hudson brothers have been fighting ankle problems this year. Jarrell's ballooned up a little bit. He's got to drop a couple of pounds. The coach says he's up to 270 playing linebacker. He's eating his way into a 5 technique.
Well, Marcus is the youngest of 5, and all 5 played college football. Pretty impressive. First down for Florida State. McPherson looks deep, trying to put a nail in this thing, and there's going to be a flag thrown. Interference. It was Greg Golden who's going both ways today. We've seen him on offense and defense. And he just pulled Tallman Gardner down.
Well, it started as great coverage by Golden, but he made a mistake and never found the ball. Boy, this crowd, they get after these officials, but come on, guys. Golden completely tackled him. It's great coverage. Gets his hands on, turns and runs. Now you got to peek it. You got to peek it. I know you're playing one-on-one, but you're stride for stride. That's not even close, guys. Come on. You can boo all you want. It's PI every day of the week, but at some point as a corner, you've got to find where the ball is. And usually you turn, as soon as you see that receiver's eyes getting a little big is when you know that ball's in flight.
So they move it up to midfield. First down, and the 6th penalty of the game for NC State. Here's the give to Maddox.
Maddox, number 20, is the ball carrier.
Alan Holloway makes the tackle after a gain of 2. Holloway, a JUCO guy from Nassau County Community College. 20% of this NC State roster, Florida guys, Florida kids.
Chuck Amato spent 18 years as an assistant coach. The last few as the assistant head coach. And everybody talked about what a masterful recruiter Amato was in Miami. And of course, we all know how many great players come out of that city. And he's starting to make inroads again and getting those kids to come up and play here instead of staying in the state of Florida.
2nd down and 8 for Florida State. Now the whistles.
Timeout.
And the Noles take a timeout.
Bobby Bowden.
Oh, man, are you folks cold today?
Knew that he was in for a battle today, even though NC State had lost 3 in a row. With this defense against NC State, not quite what they saw last week against the Tar Heels.
4:40 to play in the first half. 7-3. Florida State will be back.
Hey, Fife. Did we have a graphic about FSU in the second quarter, what they've done in the second quarter? Oh, it was in? Got you. Nah.
You've got the feeling with 4:40 to go in the half that NC State needs defensively to make a big stop here. It's 2nd down. Florida State needs 8. The ball's loose. Florida State gets it back, but they'll lose yardage. The pitch was to Nick Maddox. So they lose 7. And it'll bring up 3rd down and long.
Sprint option that we've seen NC State run a couple of times, and Maddox a little bit behind him, tried to bring it in with his left hand and took a very lucky bounce. Otherwise, Price was there to scoop it up.
Crowd on its feet understands the importance of this play. The Noles need 15 for the first. Out of the gun on 3rd down. McPherson throws, incomplete, intended for Bowden.
Boy, Terrence Holt rolled up on Bowden's ankle as he rotated over. They brought a corner blitz.
NC State's defense playing a terrific first half.
Bowden lined up on the outside. You'll see the corner come, and Terrence Holt had to rotate over. And he just does a great job. There's Holt there. Boy, what a nice job by Terrence Holt. He's waited till the last possible second to show that he was blitzing and got there in time. And even if that throw would have been complete, it would not have been a first down.
Low snap. Here comes the pressure. It's a short kick. And folks, I want to tell you something. Florida State averages 34 points a game. 3:44 to play in the first half. And the NC State defense has thrown a goose egg at them. Has not allowed a point. And special teams have been a key. 3:44 to play in the first half here. And it's Florida State 7, NC State 3. That 7 by Florida State scored on a fumble return on a fake field goal. And so Florida State really struggling to get things going here. And NC State really hitting on all cylinders. Here's T.A. McLendon, and they meet him. You talk about all cylinders. Drive him all the way back to the 10. Earlier we asked you the Aflac trivia question. Who was the head coach at Florida State before Bobby Bowden? If anybody knew this.
Well, Bobby didn't even know it yesterday when we were talking to him.
Oh, sure he did. He knew he would replace Daryl Mudra. Head coach 74-75. And you see his record, and that's why Bobby came in.
Bobby had been on the staff of Bill Peterson prior to that, and that's who I would have guessed.
Second down and 10 for Rivers. First down sure would help State's confidence. Looking deep. They've got a man. It's Edwards up near midfield. And Devontae Edwards is out to the 49-yard line after a 27-yard catch. Devontae Edwards plays basketball at NC State and makes his 21st reception for the football team.
Lined up in the slot. All he's going to do is find that open hole right there.
Ball is placed at the 49-yard
Trying to play a little bit of a zone. The defensive back from Florida State has to wait till the last possible second because they had two guys going vertical to that side, and then Edwards working back to a little skinny post.
Rivers on first down. And there'll be a flag thrown.
Oh yeah, Chris Colmer.
This might be holding, the one I saw by the referee back at the 45.
There's no question. Left tackle Chris Colmer was working one-on-one with Alonzo Jackson.
Chuck Amato's out on the field, wants pass interference, and he has a pretty good argument. Chuck Amato is furious.
And you know when the referee, see the stone face by the referee and the coach on the field, you know the referee knows he's wrong when he's got that look.
The referee didn't even see him, I don't think.
Here's what Chuck's mad about, working one-on-one Brian Peterson. Yeah. That is a missed call. It should be offsetting penalties.
Rufus Brown just pulled him down.
Pulled down Brian Peterson. And that's why the officials allowing Chuck to go this nuts on him, because they know they messed up. They know they missed one.
First down and 20. Rivers looks deep, throws, almost intercepted. Pretty good break by Stanford Samuels. Boy, he had a beat on the ball and almost made the pick. At the conclusion of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund.
Well, that ball was forced a little bit, but Stanford Samuels, he was suspended for the Wake Forest game, came back the next week against Georgia Tech, didn't get the start. He had 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, 1 to end the game in the end zone. Had a huge hit last week. against Sam Aiken.
Look at this. Rivers comes out to the wide receiver slot. This is Josh Brown, and Josh Brown's loose. Brown inside the 40. Foot race to the 20. Josh Brown to the 10, to the 5, to the 3. Finally caught by Kendall Pope, but a gain of 60 yards.
And Phillip Rivers, who came out as the wide receiver, threw an unbelievable block to spring Josh Brown. Watch at the end of the play as Josh Brown fights down right there at the bottom of the field, working one-on-one with Rufus Brown. An amazing block by a quarterback acting like a wide receiver. Here it is on the outside. Just a little draw play. And look at Rivers fighting every inch of the way.
First and goal for State. McLendon's in the backfield, and he's the hoss. 5'11", 214 pounds. Coleman may have moved.
A false start.
7th penalty for NC State, killing themselves.
Watch the left tackle. Coleman, yep. I thought you said it was on 1. No, Dodo, I said it was on 2. I've heard that a few times.
Kotry goes to the top of the screen. Peterson to the bottom.
Now you're almost in that spot where you've got to throw it now.
McLendon's in the backfield. He's the carrier. Inside the 5, T.A. McLendon. Touchdown, NC State. A 6-yard touchdown run by McLendon.
Well, you said he had 71 rushing touchdowns last year at Albemarle High School and right here in North Carolina. Well, he's only got 16 this year, but that's still an ACC freshman record. And when he gets down around the goal line, boy, does he have a lot of desire to get that ball across the plane.
Adam Kiker for the extra point. Splits the sticks. And they're on their feet in Raleigh. How about the Wolfpack?
Boy, and it all started when Josh Brown took over and did his best Phillip Rivers impersonation, and then Phillip Rivers went out and did his best Jericho Kotry impersonation and got a great block downfield to spring the long run by Brown.
There are some kind of emotions in this stadium this afternoon. Chuck Amato, who looks up and really reveres his relationship with Bobby Bowden, has been fired up since yesterday. This place is rocking.
Well, and that's the momentum that NC State needed back.
Never in the history of the school has NC State won 10 games. They're trying to get it here today.
Nobody in the history of the ACC has ever beaten Florida State 2 years in a row, and NC State's the only team in the ACC that's ever beat them twice, going for their 3rd.
Trying to make history. And the crowd's trying to help them. High kick. Taken at the 7. Washington with a good cut and out to the 30-yard line. Let's go downstairs to Sam Ryan. Sam?
Well, Tim, T.A. McLendon is NC State's offensive weapon. You mentioned it earlier, the wrist surgery that he had. He's not 100%. Keep that in mind. During practice on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, he wears this cast. It's a hard cap, pretty much just for protection. Now, during the games, the training staff fits him with the soft cast. Coach Amato said T.A. can't hold on to the ball as he'd like to. Had a costly fumble in the Georgia Tech game. More fumble problems against UVA last week. Don't forget, his 16 rushing touchdowns leads the team and leads all freshmen in the nation. Guys.
Make it 17. He's given him the lead. McPherson with the carry out to the 35. But again, swarmed, hit first by Holt and a whole host of red jerseys.
Well, and now you've got to be in the hurry-up mode. McPherson trying to get his guys going. Got to start thinking as you get a little more mature as a quarterback, maybe throw that thing away. You're eating too much clock here.
Backside pressure. McPherson throws to his swing back. Not enough for the first. Depending on the mark,
and he
Washington,
did get out of bounds.
Washington will be close, but he looks like he's just about a yard short, maybe a little less.
Well, what are they calling a timeout for? They can eyeball that. The crowd should be booing. Come on, take control of the game, guys. Yeah, roll the clock. You just cost them 7 seconds on defense. And that was a freshman mistake by Washington. True freshman. Needed to get out of bounds.
25 seconds to go. Didn't make it. Pat Thomas made the tackle short of the first. This defense has been special here this afternoon. As the final seconds tick away.
D'Antonio Burnett's the guy. Although he doesn't make the tackle, he makes Leon Washington make the cut and allows his defensive linebacker, make Pat Thomas, to clean it up.
Terrific first half, and Chuck Amato really fired up as his Wolfpack heads to the locker room knowing they've got momentum. Bobby Bowden's got to be a little bit in a state of shock. Let's go down to Sam.
Bobby, they took the momentum right back from you guys. What do you tell your team at the half?
Well, we got to get the ball away from them. I don't know if we had the ball out of 20 minutes, well, excuse me, out of 30 minutes. I don't know if we had it 7 minutes. We've got to get the ball away from them.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bobby.
Thank you.
He's right. Time of possession just dominated by NC State. Now let's join John Saunders and Terry Bowden at Times Square Stadium in New York City.
We got 30 minutes of just getting after the just getting after it. Low pads up front, low man wins. Fundamentals, tackling, blocking, fundamentals. Everything else will work. You understand me? Everything else will work. You get out there together. Don't you leave till y'all get out there.
Chuck Amato and the NC State Wolfpack moments ago in the locker room. I want to tell you something, folks. NC State played so well in that first half that I think Florida State is in the state of shock. It's 10-7, the Wolfpack, as we start the third quarter.
Time of possession was almost double for NC State over Florida State. That's what Bobby Bowden alluded to when he was talking to Sam Ryan going off the field there. They have to get something going. But right now, the momentum that was so clearly in Florida State's favor after that 84-yard fumble return by Michael Boulware on the fake field goal got right back to NC State because of the way they've been able to run the ball in the first half.
Well, NC State will have the ball to start the second half. They won the toss and deferred to start the game, and so Phillip Rivers will have it here first down on the 20 after the touchback. Right now, let's go down to Sam Ryan. Sam?
Coach, I got to ask you about that play. Your defense hasn't cost you a touchdown. A trick play gone bad. Did talk about that.
Well, it went bad because we didn't protect the ball. It's a shame because it was wide open. We could have got 7. It was a 14-point swing, but we can't worry about that. That's behind us, like the 3 losses are behind us and the 9 wins are behind us. We got 30 minutes of football to play. If we can protect the ball, make things happen, and play our football, with poise and poise and poise, we got a chance.
Hold on to that voice, Coach.
But it's gone.
That is an emotional Chuck Amato. This has developed into quite a rivalry between these two. Rivers goes to throw on first down and throws it away. But NC State and Florida State have split the last 2 years. Now let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
Take a look at the statistics from the first half, and really it's unbelievable the score that we have, because it was pretty much domination by NC State. Florida State is going with Nick Maddox in the backfield, and Nick is not 100%, and they're paying for it, averaging under 2 yards per carry, and of course a 6.6 yards per carry helped by the 60-yard run of Josh Brown. But really total domination by NC State, other than the fumble that was returned for the touchdown.
I think Chuck Amato knows they need to get off to a good start here to start the second half, though. And T.A. McLendon trips. He may have lost a yard. Kevin Emanuel was there to trip him up.
Take a look at the first half highlights, and as the game was kind of going along and you felt like NC State had all the momentum, a fake field goal that went bad. Alonzo Jackson does the dirty work, and Michael Boulware gets his name in the paper. And then this was a 60-yard run by Josh Brown. He lined up as a quarterback. Phillip Rivers went out as the wide receiver and made a great block. And then T.A. McLendon, banged, bruised, battered. He's got a bad shoulder, a broken hand on his, got a cast on his right hand. He's 16 touchdowns on the year. He tied Stan Fritz for the all-time touchdown rushing record at NC State.
Third down, and this pass to T.A. McLendon, it goes right through his hands. And keep in mind, he's wearing that cast. Makes it very difficult to catch the ball, although he's usually an outstanding receiver.
And you know, Chuck Amato says that that cast could probably come off. The doctors have cleared T.A. to play without it, but Chuck Amato calls it his blankie. Young fellow doesn't want to take it off. He feels comfortable with it on.
Austin Herbert to punt it away. It's a high tail wagger. Washington will take this at 37. Leon Washington looks for a block, reverses his field, gets a block. Look out, across midfield. There's a flag down, but Leon Washington's going to take it the distance inside the 10. Touchdown, Florida State. But there is a flag at the 46-yard line. A 61-yard return by Leon Washington.
Well, I tell you, where that was thrown, I was watching the block. It looked like a clean block. Oh, if this is a block in the back.
I have 95 that spot, 95 white. I don't know what got a hold in here, but
So it sounds like it'll be a hold on Florida State.
Over return with 2 fouls on the receiving team. This penalty is to decline at this spot. We're going to enforce 10 yards from the spot of foul on the return.
Well, now I didn't want to talk over the official whose mic is finally working. There was the holding there at the end of the play by Cameron Wembley, but that block in the back was an awful call. When a defender turns his back so that it looks like he's going to be blocked in the back, the official doesn't. You can't throw that flag, although it did look like it was holding by Wembley.
A huge break for NC State. The Wolfpack came out offensively 3 and gone. Punt the ball. Leon Washington returns it for a touchdown, and a flag brings it back. So not the start Chuck Amato wanted in the second half. We'll see if McPherson now can get the Seminole offense in high gear. Back to throw. Looks deep. Has a man and overthrows him. Intended for Talman Gardner, who was free.
Well, and that's a tough throw for any quarterback, and sophomore McPherson making only his 4th start of his career. He can't put air on that ball because the safety, Torrey Holt, was coming right over the top. There's a nice how you do with a foot in the back, but Torrey Holt was coming over to help, and so the ball had to be driven by McPherson, and that's one of those throws you just have to do it so many times.
It'll bring up 2nd down and 10.
Of course, I mean Terrence Holt, not Torrey, who's getting ready to play the Redskins this weekend.
Play action for McPherson. Backside pressure, the blitz. They've got him. Andre Maddox with a sack. 44th sack of the year for NC State and a loss of 11.
Maddox coming from his strong safety position, little bit of a different look here. It's going to come a little bit late. And it's a follow dog. You got a linebacker up in the hole. Number 31, Freddie Autry-Lindsay. And Maddox Rover just follows him right through the hole. You're blitzing two guys through the same gap. A great call by the defensive staff of NC State.
3rd down and 21 for the Noles. Backside blitz again. And he throws it away very wisely, but another great stop by NC State. There's a flag at the 25-yard line and another back by the 10.
It looked to me like he broke the pocket. He should have been able to throw it away.
See if we can listen in and hear Ron Cherry, our referee tonight. NC State declined it.
And he got intentional grounding, and that's not a good call.
So another great stop by the Wolfpack. The Seminoles will have to punt it away.
2 flags. One was, I believe, ineligible downfield, and the other one was grounding.
It was Ron Cherry.
2 fouls on the play. When an ineligible receiver downfield, that penalty is declined. Now we also have an intentional grounding foul. That foul is going to result in a loss of down. 4th down.
Well, that was the incorrect call. I mean, a lineman was clearly downfield, and that was the right call, but it was obvious McPherson was out of the pocket and threw it towards the line of scrimmage. That flag never should have been thrown.
Waltney comes on, and Chris Murray standing at midfield. So NC State's going to have great field position if they can field this punt. 4 don'ts of the kicking game. Don't be off sides. Don't rough the kicker. Blocked. They got a hand on it. Murray will pick it up and try to return it to the 40. A 30-yard punt, and NC State will have great field position.
Well, NC State had it overloaded to one side, and it was the left side that blocked it.
We would like to welcome those of you watching the Michigan State-Penn State game. Tim Brand along with Ed Cunningham and Sam Ryan. NC State shocking Florida State, leading 10-7. And T.A. McLendon battles his way down to the 30-yard line in Florida State territory. Right from the get-go, NC State came out, got a 21-yard field goal to take a 3-0 lead. They were driving again inside the 30, but fumbled. Michael Boulware picked it up for Florida State, returned it for a touchdown. It was 7-3 Seminoles. But then McLendon scored on a 6-yard touchdown run for State. It was 10-7 at half. That's where we are. But the Wolfpack is threatening again. And this game has championship implications. If Florida State wins, they win the ACC championship. If NC State wins, it opens the door for the Maryland Terrapins. Here's Josh Brown, the ball carrier. He'll lose yardage. Looks like a loss of 8 on that play.
Well, and you talk about the championship implications. Florida State beat Maryland early in the year, but if they both end tied in the ACC is the only conference that has this rule that in a tie situation, regardless of who beat whom, if the team that lost is 5 spots ahead of the team that won in the final BCS, they then get the automatic bid. And if Florida State loses today and we're happen to lose to Florida, they'd have 5 losses. If Maryland wins out with only 2 losses, I think they get the automatic bid.
Look at the total yards. Rivers to throw. Backside pressure. And he throws and a flag comes in. Intentional grounding. Maryland, by the way, is playing the Cavaliers of Virginia in Charlottesville right now.
Ron Phillips arguing with the officials because there was a receiver in the direction he was throwing, but it just never even got close to him.
We have offsetting fouls on the play. We have intentional grounding on the offense, face mask on the defense. The penalties are offset.
So 11-17 to play in the third period. Chuck Amato has been very animated today.
He lost his voice during warm-ups.
He has to be in the running for Coach of the Year in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Take a look at the face mask right over the top there. Well, and that's why he intentionally grounded. That's Wumble in there grabbing a hold of his face mask. I think Rivers had a fairly legitimate argument. That should have been just a one-way penalty on the face mask.
Second down. The Wolfpack needs 18. They run the draw. Josh Howard inside the 35. Still not back to the original line of scrimmage. It'll bring up third down and about 13.
Well, that time, Marty Galbraith, the offensive coordinator, just trying to get a little something back. He didn't want to be third and a mile, to try to get in somewhere. And you're also at a point where you got to start thinking about field goals. And NC State hasn't been very good at field goals. So right now, I don't think you necessarily have to pick up the first down, get something down around the 25-yard line if you can't get past the sticks.
Tough to convert on third down when you need 14 yards. Rivers with plenty of time. Now throws to the outside, incomplete. It was intended for Chance Moyer. And the crowd was trying to alert Rivers that he was out there wide open, and Phillip didn't see him until it was too late.
Well, he was waiting late. There was a double move on the backside of that route, and he was waiting for that to come open. But I think Rivers, this is going to be a long field goal, and this is something. And Austin Herbert comes out instead of Adam Kiker. He's got the stronger of the two legs. But both Kiker and Herbert have struggled this year.
This will be a 52-yard attempt. He's 0 for 1 from this distance.
This will be a career long by 9 yards. And sometimes you drive this ball.
And it's going to be a little punt. So the quick kick out of the field goal formation will back up the Seminoles at the 15.
That's a great call. That is an absolute great call. There was too much danger involved, I think, in trying to kick from that distance with all the struggles that the Wolfpack have had. I like the call by Chuck Amato, especially the way his defense has played today.
10-18 to play in the third. It's a 3-point game. 52,000 here tonight. Enjoying this one. That sun went down. It got cold in here. Temperature was 52 degrees when the game started at 3:30. It's been plummeting ever since. Certainly the coldest game that Florida State has played this year. This ball is tipped incomplete. Offense having a tough time getting in gear. Sean Price got his hand on that one.
Second down.
Price said he was going to have a big day. Working there, Brett Williams does a fantastic job. And there's really nothing you can do as an offensive lineman. When that guy stops his feet, you're taught to try to drive block. The Price timed his jump perfectly.
McPherson now just 4 for 12, 45 yards. Really never has gotten untracked. Second down. The Noles need 10. Throws the out pattern. Here's Bowden, has it complete. Avoids 2 tacklers and is out across the 30. Anquan Bowden. 3 touchdowns last week. And that's a pickup of 17.
And Bowden, who's built like a linebacker at 6'2", 225 pounds. Well, you better get your whole body in front of him when you're going to make a tackle. A corner blitz, a safety gets over late. A really good route by Bowden. That's what a sight adjust is. When the quarterback and the receiver see the same thing, the corner blitzing, you know you can't get picked up, you got to cut off your route, and then a good run after the catch.
Best play offensively for the Seminoles in a while. Backside pressure on McPherson. He'll tuck it and go to the 40-yard line.
Well, you go all the way back to 1992 when Florida State joined the ACC, and it was total domination. Virginia got that first win in '95. The next year, Seminoles got the revenge. NC State, of course, Torrey Holt had that great game, 5 touchdowns, and then UNC last year. And now NC State looking to become the first team since Florida State joined the ACC to beat them 2 years in a row.
Trying to make history tonight. Also, NC State trying to be the first team in school history to win 10 games. The Pack 9-3 on the year. Washington out to the 49-yard line. Eludes a couple of tackles. And a pickup of 8. Seminoles with their best drive of the game.
Well, the Florida State Seminoles lost a great player in Greg Jones against Wake Forest. He blew his ACL. Willie Reed, a good redshirt freshman's out with a separated shoulder. And Nick Maddox, who started the game, but boy, he just didn't look like the Nick Maddox that we know with the ankle sprain. And I think Leon Washington, the true freshman out of Jacksonville, needs to be the guy that Adrian McPherson is handing off to for the rest of this game.
Well, with Jones out too, when they lost him, they lost Yaks.
Oh, yes,
yards after contact. He was so good in that department. Here's McPherson, looks, throws, has a man. It's Bowden, and pass interference.
Had to. He was beat.
And again, it's Greg Golden who's the guilty party.
And he was beat. He bit on a fake by Anquan Bowden and never got his hips turned. And Greg Golden, who plays running back, DB, every special team.
9th NC State penalty of the game.
Well, and this is what you teach a DB. He gets caught looking. He's peeking. He thinks he's got help and then totally misses on his jam. But this is what you teach a DB. If you can't make a play on the ball, run through the guy. Make the official make the call. Because it's not a spot foul like the NFL. So you're not going to give up. You'd rather have the penalty than you would the completion or the touchdown.
Incredible. Tough to win when you have that. First down, Florida State. Pressure again. Oh, terrific defense by Greg Golden that time. So Golden was called for the pass interference twice tonight. That one right there was special. Terrific defense.
And how many times do you hear it? If you want to play cornerback at a high level, I played with Aeneas Williams with the Arizona Cardinals for 4 years, one of the best cover corners to ever play the game. And he used to talk about all the time, he says, I don't have a memory. Because if you've got memory, I mean, one play you get burnt, you get a penalty. The very next play, you play it as well as you can.
How about his numbers tonight? 1 incomplete pass, 2 interference calls, and 2 pass breakups. Washington, nowhere to go. Flag is down, and D'Antonio Burnett with the tackle.
And boy, that's a foolish penalty up top. I believe they're going to get Tallman Gardner. He's working one-on-one with Greg Golden, and they're going to get him for holding. It's about 30 yards away from where the ball was being run. Okay, personal foul, even more foolish.
And so the penalty hurts Florida State as they move them back.
You want your guys to play physical and tough downfield, and this Florida State group of receivers led by Anquan Bowden is so aggressive down the field, but boy, you better be smarter than this.
Personal foul on the offense. It's 15 yards. We replayed the down.
Boy, that's a tough one to swallow for Bobby Bowden.
He knows he's in a dogfight tonight. Having lost to NC State, as you mentioned, a year ago, and knowing how big this game is. With an 8-3 record, they need that 9th win, and a win tonight gives them the outright title in the Atlantic Coast Conference. But if they lose, Maryland creeps back into this picture.
Do. I actually like that rule in the ACC. It's to make sure that if a team is just flat better than another team, that they get the BCS bid in the case of a tie. Now, if you're Jeff Bowden, the offensive coordinator, look for something across the middle, quick slant. You got to pick up 10, 15 yards so you get in somewhere where third down is not 3rd and 28.
8:52 to play in the third.
We've got personal foul. The run ended behind the line of scrimmage. We're going to go 15 yards from the previous spot. We still have a personal foul.
Ron Cherry with the explanation.
Although that helps a little bit. Takes 3 yards off the penalty.
Second down, 25.
It's still second down and a taxi ride. The Noles need 25 yards for the first. Blitz coming. Pick it up. It's complete, but way short of any first down. Paul Irons is stopped at midfield.
NC State working without a defensive coordinator. Chuck Amato deciding that they would just do it as a staff. They're calling a great game. I mean, Adrian McPherson, a young quarterback, a true sophomore, they've confused him so many different times with the coverages that they have called. And that time looked like it was going to be a blitz. They backed out. He had to come to a check down, exactly what they wanted him to do. They're dictating the game to Adrian McPherson.
3rd down and 25. McPherson this time with time. Throwing to Gardner, incomplete, overthrown, and again there was a lot of bumping and grinding between Greg Golden and Gardner.
Greg Golden having to play so much tonight because Marcus Hudson, who's usually a starter in that defensive secondary, they like to rotate 3, sometimes 4 corners. But Hudson sprained his ankle severely last week against UVA, not able to play tonight. And Greg Golden, who was a starting running back at the beginning of this year until T.A. McLendon was ready, he's had a couple of tough plays, but he's also made some really nice plays. That time he had great coverage.
There's a look at Murray, who's standing back at the 10, waiting for Gwaltney's punt. Golden going both ways tonight. He was the starting tailback at the beginning of this year. It's a wobbling punt taken at the 11. Good coverage by Florida State. So a 39-yard punt, 0 on the return, and the Wolfpack will be backed up as they start this offensive series. Mark it at the 11. 7:38 to play in the 3rd period. It's still 10-7 NC State.
Al Grove, Ralph Regan, Chuck Amato here, and Bobby Bowden. They've really upgraded in the last 3 years in the coaching department.
Devontae Edwards on the end around, or the reverse by the wide receiver, and he loses yardage. Kendall Pope with great speed at the linebacker spot.
Boy, there has been a bevy of trick plays by this offense. I mean, not much of a reverse. It wasn't pitched one way and pitched back the other way, but Kendall Pope is one of the speediest linebackers you're going to see in college football. Plays that weak side linebacker, leads this team in tackles. He is in on every play.
3rd down and 11 for NC State. Rivers has room to run. Instead throws. Has it complete up at the 40, and that's a 1st down. Andy Bertrand made the catch. That's his 9th receiver in this ball game. He has really spread the wealth. Mickey Andrews thought maybe he was across the line of scrimmage, and now a flag comes down late.
Yeah, I was watching. It looked like he was all the way up to the 25-yard line. The line of scrimmage was just beyond the 23 when he threw that.
And an illegal forward pass.
Rivers was trying everything he could. Buying time, buying time, buying time. The line of scrimmage is about the 23.5-yard line.
That's close.
I don't think that's the right call.
That's close.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right call. His entire body has to be beyond the line of scrimmage. I think they missed that one. And it's the official on the far side who has to make that call.
An illegal forward pass on the offense. 5 yards from the spot. Lost it down. 4th down.
It's the official all the way to this side who makes this call. He's the guy who's in charge of making it. It's the 23.5. Boy, I don't buy that. Not for a second. I mean, even if he's right on, if you're all the way across the field, I think you got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Austin Herbert comes on to punt.
Cross to the snap. Timeout on the field.
Florida State had 12 guys on the field, didn't get the guy off on time, and had to call a timeout. Mickey Andrews beside himself. He is really upset.
Boy, in a tight ball game that you just get a feel's coming down, you don't want a dumb mistake in personnel to eat up a timeout.
This place has been festive all night. Just electricity. You could feel the tension in here when the game began. Herbert's punt is, I don't want to say shanked, but he knocked it out of bounds fairly quickly after he punted it.
Boy, he had to get it off quickly. couple Florida State guys coming free to his right. He had to rush it.
Just a 26-yard punt. And so now the defense of NC State, which has played so well all day and into the evening, now is going to have bad field position here as the Noles start with great field position.
See a white shirt flying right in front of him. And Herbert, who hasn't been great this year, that's part of the problems. NC State's kicking game, field goals, he's averaging under 37 yards per punt. That's got to be
with the scoreboard operator. Will the operator of the scoreboard please change the timeouts remaining for Florida State to reflect 2 timeouts?
So as they adjust the timeouts on the scoreboard, this is the best starting field position for the Seminoles all day.
Will the scoreboard operator?
Beep. I'll beep him for us.
Ron Cherry, the referee, really frustrated.
He's
with
working
that
hard
microphone
today.
tonight.
There they go. They got it. Now we can play ball. Well, you can sense this both sides. You made the comment when we looked at that illegal pass by Phillip Rivers. I still think it was a bad call, but you made the point, and I think you're correct, that it was Mickey Andrews working the sideline over there that got that call. And these officials have been taking hammering from both coaches.
Great opportunity for the Seminoles here. First down, McPherson. Throwing deep, looking for Gardner. Gardner's got a step and dropped the football. Talman Gardner had it and dropped it. He had Lamont Reed beaten.
Boy, you don't get those back, man. Those stay in your dreams. And the problem for Talman Gardner right now is it goes to the sideline. Nobody feels worse about it than he does. It's just a flat drop.
Boy, and I want to tell you, the senior from New Orleans
knows it. He had it.
And last year had 4 receptions, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns in this game against NC State.
Boy, and McPherson has to waste another timeout because of a personnel issue from the sidelines.
So that'll leave the Seminoles with just 1 timeout. And the entire 4th quarter yet to come. We still have 4:01 to play in the 3rd.
And how great has NC State's defense played for Chuck Amato and his staff. They do it by consensus. There is no named defensive coordinator. Joe Pate is the D-line coach. He kind of organizes the meetings. We talked with Greg Williams this week, the cornerbacks coach. He's upstairs with Chris Demarest, the safeties coach. They're kind of the eyes up there for Chuck Amato's staff. And they have played great, and I think a lot of the frustration and why these timeouts and stuff is how well that group's played.
Partner, let me put an exclamation point on that. Florida State, 87 yards total offense. That's it. Take a look at the Pontiac drive summary.
It tells a story. Can't go backwards. Can't put the Pontiac in reverse and expect good things to happen. And that's exactly what's been happening for Florida State from Jump Street.
Defensively, a gem. Set to go. Ball's back in play. It'll be 2nd down and 10 for Florida State. Press it on the corner, showing 2 deep. McPherson goes that way to Anquan Bowden and out of bounds, incomplete.
A little pressure coming.
3rd down and 10 for Florida State, and it's overthrown and thrown behind the receiver. It was intended for Robert Morgan and wasn't even close. And Greg Golden, who is from Florida, jaws a little bit, then gets off the field.
Boy, and where has the running game gone for Florida State? They just have no threat of a running game today. Struggled last week against North Carolina. Of course, Nick Maddox is not playing much. He hasn't played barely at all here in the 2nd half. Greg Jones is out with an ACL, but without even a threat of the running game, they're really struggling offensively.
Chance Gwaltney on to punt. See Chris Murray standing back at his own 10. Again, good pressure on the punter. He gets it off. It's a high knuckleball. Murray takes it at the 17, and that's where NC State will have it with 3:42 to go in the 3rd. But again, a 28-yard punt by Gwaltney.
I mean, we talked earlier about how good NC State's defense is playing. Right now, 87 yards for Florida State, and this is a group, Florida State, the best offense yardage-wise in the entire ACC at almost 430 yards per game.
So Phillip Rivers on at first down. He just wants to melt the clock and shorten the game now. Move the chains. He's taken down quickly by Alonzo Jackson, the senior from Americus, Georgia.
And this is what you teach defensive ends. Get upfield, be as deep as the football so that when a team runs a naked boot, you're backside. Alonzo Jackson now leads the team with 10 sacks. Watch the nice job he does getting up the field. Does not chase down the line of scrimmage to the play fake.
A loss of 9.
Boy, tight end trying to block that guy one-on-one. That's a mismatch.
Second down and 19. T.A. McLendon tries to get out of there and can't. Alan Augustin makes the tackle at the 11.
Chris Comer's got to get out of his way. Left tackle doing a nice job double team blocking with Shane Riggs at the point of attack as he was coming off to block a linebacker. McLendon runs right into the big fellow. Watch the left tackle here as he gets a little double team. Boy, what a great shot he puts on the defensive tackle, but as he's coming back trying to block Augustin, it's right in McLendon's way.
So it'll be third down and 16 for Rivers out of the gun. 3-man rush. Rivers over the middle and has it complete. First down, NC State to Chris Murray, the sophomore from Sefner, Florida, a gain of 19.
Boy, and Rivers using guys who haven't played much this year. Brian Peterson and Jericho Cotry usually his go-to guys. He's getting them to the outside, and Florida State's defense playing a little more zone than they have in the past. That's where they're trying to give help, and Rivers reading it and picking it apart, going to those slot receivers.
Chris Murray's played a major role tonight. A couple of big catches, and he's been the return guy. Burton in motion. This is T.A. McLendon trying to get to the outside, breaks a tackle, look out. McLendon on his feet at the 45-yard line, ball's loose. They said he was down. Tripped up by Leroy Smith. It'll be NC State ball at the 45, a gain of 15 yards.
Well, and here's the problem. You know, when you're running to your right, and you know you're going to be to your right, you want to have that ball away from the defender, so in your right hand. Well, he's got a cast on his right hand, and he's got a bum shoulder, so he has to carry that ball on his inside hand, and that's why he struggles sometimes keeping it. That is absolutely a fumble. Ball got out of bounds, but T.A. McLendon, you know, he just at such a disadvantage with that cast on his right hand, not able to put it away from the defender.
Another one of those formations. Look at this. 4 receivers to the bottom of the screen. All kinds of time and throws it complete to Devontae Edwards, and another first down, and Devontae Edwards with his 3rd catch. And the Wolfpack moving again.
Boy, when we talked to Mickey Andrews earlier in the week, Devontae Edwards' name and Chris Murray's name didn't even come out of his mouth. The only 2 guys he talked about was Brian Peterson and Jericho Cotry. And right now, Devontae Edwards and Murray playing such a big role. Big 3rd down conversion by Murray a couple of plays ago, and that time Edwards does a nice job going up and snagging it.
McLendon to the 37-yard line. Stopped by Boulware.
And as many injuries as NC State has had, Tim, Devontae Edwards was a guy who had to practice on the defense this week. Because of the injury to Marcus Hudson, they thought he might have to play some corner today.
18 seconds to go in the 3rd period. It's 2nd down and 6.
Boy, and NC State has really dominated the time of possession in this ball game. I think Rivers is going to be happy to get it to the 4th quarter.
His motor's running, isn't it?
He wanted to get it off, but I think they need to get to the 4th quarter.
Our presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. You're watching ABC Sports, and you're watching the leader of the pack. We would like to welcome those of you watching the USC-UCLA game. Tim Brandt along with Ed Cunningham and Sam Ryan. As we start the fourth quarter here in Raleigh, North Carolina, Florida State is on the ropes. NC State has pretty much dominated this game, although the score just 10-7 Wolfpack. But Phillip Rivers and NC State in Seminole territory, 2nd and 6 and driving. T.A. McLendon, right side, not much there. The defense swarms around him, led by Jeff Womble, the 280-pound junior. Florida State, ranked 14th in the country, came in with an 8-3 record. A win tonight gives the Seminoles the outright championship in the Atlantic Coast Conference. But if NC State wins, then the University of Maryland is right back in the hunt, and probably, if it wins out, will go to the BCS. Maryland leading Virginia right now in Charlottesville.
They still have Wake Forest. But if Florida State were to lose today and to Florida, and the Terrapins win out, I believe they would get the automatic BCS bid in the ACC.
3rd down and 5 for Rivers. Steps up, throws, complete to his tight end, Burton. 1st down, NC State. Sean Burton hurt his hand against Virginia. Excellent blocker. Didn't know if he would play tonight because of the broken bone in that hand, but he's played, and he's played well, and picks up 7.
Well, and he's going to have surgery on Monday. And the coaches earlier in the week said, no way, he's not going to play. He went to Chuck Amato and he said, Coach, you're out of your mind. I would have to be dead not to play in this game. What am I saving my hand for? Intramural basketball between now and the bowl game? Get me on the field.
And we have word from Charlottesville that Virginia has just taken a 1-point lead over Maryland. 1st down, NC State. Rivers steps up, throws. It's complete. There is a flag down as Jericho Cotchery makes the catch at the 26-yard line. Cotchery leads the ACC in receiving yards, 87 a game. This one will come back.
Boy, and about the only thing NC State has done wrong tonight is penalties. 10 penalties on the afternoon. Chuck Amato before the game, we got to listen into him pregame.
Holding on the offense, 10 yards, replayed the down.
Got to listen to his pregame speech. He went through his laundry list of things, and the number one thing he focused on, he said, guys, physically we can play with them. We just can't make little mistakes like they have in this 3-game losing streak that they're on. The last 3 ball games, fumbles, dumb penalties, things like that.
It was 52 degrees when this game began, but when the sun went down, the temperature's been plummeting. The low 40s now. Coldest game of the year for the Seminoles of Florida State. This is McLendon around the corner to the 30. 1st down, NC State. T.A. McLendon, a true freshman who at this time last year was playing in high school. He scored 71 touchdowns his senior year.
Boy, and they did this earlier with Josh Brown. Now it's T.A. McLendon's turn, but watch Phillip Rivers right over here. Watch the block he gets downfield. He did the exact same thing. He drove the defensive back, Bryant McFadden, all the way to the inside and allowed T.A. McLendon to bounce that out.
T.A. McLendon had that screw put into his thumb, into his wrist. October 1st, he was back in the lineup on the 7th. Went over 1,000 yards rushing tonight. A true freshman. 2nd down for Rivers, backside pressure, throws under pressure, and he's got McLendon. 1st down, NC State. A pickup of 9.
Boy, what a heady player McLendon is. Watch as he goes through the hole. He's going to trip, but watch him keep his balance, and he knows he's the check down. And because of the coverage that Florida State was in, he found where he had to stand right in between the linebackers. And this guy, 18 years old, and Chuck Amato said from the first day he came on campus, we knew he was special, not only because of his ability running the ball, but all the little things he can do, catching and blocking.
How about the catch with the cast on his hands? First down, flanker screen. This is Edwards. Edwards down to the 12-yard line. Knocked out of bounds by Rufus Brown.
You know, at the beginning of this quarter, the entire NC State bench, as they run a little flanker screen right out here to Edwards, the entire NC State bench came together. Got emotional, got hooping and hollering. I looked across the field to Florida State, and over half of the team was sitting on their haunches on the bench. And I'll tell you right now, Florida State looks like they want to get on the plane and go home.
Can't believe that with a championship at stake. Second down, McLendon breaks a tackle, pulls his way inside the 5. T.A. McLendon, and this place is rocking now.
Well, Florida State trying to fight back a little bit. Well, hey guys, guess what? You're getting shoved around at the point of attack. The offensive line for NC State, Shane Riggs, the left tackle, their left guard, Chris Comer, the left tackle, do a great job. I mean, they're pushing white shirts 4 and 5 yards down the line of scrimmage. Let's line T.A. up. Let's pound another one right at him.
T.A. McLendon goes over 100 yards tonight with that carry.
Boy, and this is what Bobby feared. He knew that NC State could play with them physically, but right now they're getting shoved around.
They're on their feet in Carter Finley Stadium.
Well, the referee called Phillip Rivers and Darnell Dockett together to get him to settle down a little bit, but Florida State better wake up because they're getting shoved around pretty easily by this big physical front of NC State.
First down and goal for the Wolfpack. T.A. McLendon to the 3-yard line and taken down rather rudely. Donnie Carter got there first, and in the linebackers field, Ray Pickham was there as well. T.A. McLendon shaken up. And they work on T.A. McLendon. We'd like to welcome those of you watching the Kansas State-Missouri game. Tim Brand along with Ed Cunningham and Sam Ryan. Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina. NC State leading Florida State 10-7 with 12:08 to play in the ball game. If Florida State wins it, they are the ACC champions outright and will go to the BCS. If NC State wins it, Maryland, if it wins out, will probably get the BCS bid.
Well, I've never seen a guy get up from being shooken up and electrify a crowd like that as much as T.A. McLendon, but what a tough kid.
Virginia leads Maryland now 10-7 in Charlottesville.
We got a little freaky formation here. You got 2 linemen lined up to the left. Looks like the Arena League out there.
Second down and goal. Great penetration, and Rufus Brown had nowhere to run because Eric Moore was in the backfield with him.
You know, I said this earlier in the game, and Chuck Amato and his offensive staff said, you know, we're going to do a bunch of different formations. We're going to try to confuse them. But they've run so many little trick plays that really have not worked. I mean, they tried a fake field goal that there was a fumble. It was returned for a touchdown, the only score for Florida State. And the way the power running game is working, I know T.A. McLendon's on the sideline right now, but Josh Brown has run very well as well on second and goal inside the 5. I just don't know why you have to get fancy when just the physical power game has been working so well all afternoon. Now you're in that position. 3 points really doesn't go a long way in helping you here.
11:05 to play. Timeout on the field. We'll take one as well. Finley Stadium is electric. They can feel something special happening here tonight. Florida State backed up. It's 3rd down and goal for NC State. Rivers has hit his last 6 passes in a row. Looks to the end zone, runs it. Close to the goal line, short.
Well, I tell you, if I'm Chuck Amato, I got to think about going for it here. My kicking game has been awful all year, and I don't want to be sitting at 13-7. And the way my defense has played, Florida State with 87 yards, I'd go for it here.
Rivers comes up limping. He was shaken up on the play. But he still tries to get back to the huddle.
Oh, yeah.
And get everybody together.
Yep, and here comes the big folks. They're definitely going for it. And I think this is the right call. A good drop zone by Florida State. And Rivers almost threw it beyond the line of scrimmage. He knew he was close, so he tucked it, nearly made it. But this is the right call by Chuck Amato. They need a touchdown here.
T.A. McLendon comes back into the ballgame, the 214-pound running back. They go heavy. Fake to McLendon. Throw into the end zone. Incomplete. And Burton was open. Rivers rushed it, and he knows it.
Boy, he did rush it. And, you know, he's one of those guys who doesn't always set his feet. He was 6 for 6 on that drive up until that point. That makes him 6 for 7. And that one's going to haunt him because he never set his feet. He had Burton wide open. Watch the play fake. Burton right down here. Comes wide open. Yep.
Wow.
He's never set his feet. Rushed it a little bit. He always talks about, I want to be quick. I don't want to rush things. That time he rushed it.
So a defensive stop for the Seminoles. But the Noles are backed up. Play action for McPherson. Now run it. He's got great feet. And is out close to a 1st down. So he runs the Seminoles out of trouble, but there's a flag back in the end zone. And it's holding against Florida State.
Oh, boy. They're going to back him up. You get a safety. It's in the end zone.
Flags in the end zone. The hold was in the end zone. That's a safety.
You always wonder where it is, in the end zone or out of the end zone. And with McPherson running around, I thought it might have been out around the 2 or 3 yard line, but it was behind the play that they got the holding call. One-man route, nothing there. McPherson goes to look. Yeah, it looked like they got.
So not only does it cost him the safety and the 2 points, but now you get the free kick and State gets it back.
Looks like maybe David Castillo, the center, gets called. Boy, I don't know, Tim. That looked awful clean to me.
Moot point.
Yes, it is.
A game statistically dominated by NC State. Time of possession off the charts. But I will tell you this. With 9:53 to play, it's only 12-7.
Right.
And a touchdown still can win this game for Florida State. But right now, they've got to give it back.
Well, now Florida State needs to get their defense going. There's confusion as to what's going to happen. The Chance Boltoney's going to punt it. And you usually end up with very good field position after a kick after the safety.
Look at those numbers. Who would have believed that before this game? NC State had lost 3 in a row.
But the talk during that entire time, Tim, was about the struggles of their offense. This defense never went away. They've been solid all year. The best defense in the ACC, giving up under 19 points per game. But this is their best effort by far in 2002.
Cotchery and Golden are back. This will be Cotchery. Looking for a block. He's got one. He's in the loose.
Florida State territory and all the way down to the 31-yard line. Jericho Cotchery finally stopped by the kicker Chance Gwaltney after a gain of 44 yards.
You know what, Tim? He outkicked his coverage. I know that sounds bizarre on a free kick, but watch how much time Cotchery has before a white shirt shows up in the screen. It was a good kick by Gwaltney, but he didn't hang it high enough, and that allowed NC State to set up a great wall right in front of Cotchery and a good cut to find the open seam.
Will the game operator please reset to 9:38? 9:38. Reset the game clock to 9:38.
Every second counts now for Florida State. So they reset the clock to 9:38. NC State 12, Florida State 7. It was NC State which beat Florida State a year ago, which opened the door for the Maryland Terrapins to win the ACC championship. Could it happen again? Here's Rivers. McLendon is tagged on first down. Terrific pursuit by the Noles defense. Osei got there along with Samuels.
And now you're in position because of the safety that a field goal really helps. Put you up a touchdown and a two-point conversion. I'm not saying you don't try to stick it in the end zone, but be smart. You're at the 34-yard line, so you got a long field goal right now. Just try to pick a little something up after the negative yardage play and get yourself down to a chip shot type field goal.
2nd and 13. The give to Josh Brown. Again, good coverage by the defense. Absolutely nothing. Let's take you back to the skyscrapers of Manhattan and John Saunders. John.
Boy, wow. Matt Schaub might be the hottest quarterback in the country at the end of the season. We did that game up at Penn State, and although they got blown out, he looked great in that game. He played great last week against NC State, and 13 of 16 today. He's playing fantastic for Al Groh.
Josh Brown limping off, suffered a concussion last week against Virginia. He's having a solid season, but shaken up here. So the running back spot getting thin with T.A. McLendon banged up, and Josh Brown banged up. 3rd down and 13 out of the gun for Rivers.
Try to pick up 8 to 10 yards so you get yourself down around a field goal.
Throws underneath. This is T.A. McLendon. McLendon to the 27. Michael Boulware made the tackle. A gain of 7. And it'll set up a field goal attempt. So Adam Kiker comes on to attempt the field goal. This has not been a great part of the game for NC State, although Kiker was a preseason candidate for the Groza Award, former walk-on. This is from 45 yards. This one's long enough. And it's good. NC State 15, Florida State 7. Time's running short for the Seminoles. Carter Finley Stadium rocking tonight. NC State leading Florida State 15-7. A win by the Seminoles, and they win the ACC title outright. But if they lose to NC State and Maryland wins out, then Maryland would probably get the BCS bid if they're 5 spots ahead in the BCS poll.
And the reason that they may end up 5 spots behind is if they lose today, they go to 8-4. If they lose to Florida, they go to 8-5. If Maryland wins out with only 2 losses, I think that Maryland would be 5 spots ahead of them in the final BCS and therefore get the automatic bid.
Maryland's 2 losses to Notre Dame and Florida State. Kiker's kick is a good one. Takes Thorpe back to the 1. And knocked down inside the 20 by Alonzo Jackson.
After the play was over, the pit ball, personal foul on the receiving team. That's
against Florida State.
We have first down.
Florida State backed up at the 8. First down. McPherson still the quarterback. Throws the out pattern to Maddox. Maddox at the 15-yard line. Hit by Lamont Reed.
Well, coaches talk all the time about defense and special teams. And it has been a clinic today. Defensively for NC State, they have held Florida State under 100 yards. And we're almost done with the ball game. They've blocked 2 Florida State punts, and Adam Kiker, who was struggling all year because of back spasms, kicks a career long to give them an 8-point lead, 45-yard field goal.
Second down, McPherson throws a dart, it's complete. Robert Morgan makes the catch.
I think Florida State may have just hurt itself with a holding penalty in the middle.
Holding on the offense.
That's David Castillo, the center, who came in and replaced Antoine Marambo when he hurt his knee earlier.
That was the umpire telling the referee who it was. This isn't the NFL. They can't tell you. Castillo right there in the middle.
Keep in mind.
Well, you know, Tim, that's twice they've gotten Castillo. I think Castillo was the guy that got in the end zone in both of those. Well, I'm not so sure about that call either. Your hands are inside. You're going to finish the block. I don't know about that.
Second down and 12 from the 6. McPherson throws to Thorpe at the 15. Knocked out of bounds there by Greg Golden. Let's go back to New York and John Saunders. John. How about that? That game, of course, big. We'll keep you updated on that. That certainly has an impact on the outcome of the standings in the Atlantic Coast Conference and the BCS bid. But Florida State still just a touchdown and a 2-point conversion away from tying the game. McPherson sacked by Golden. Greg Golden on the blitz.
Adrian McPherson, a young quarterback, he's got to see this coming. Golden was cheating in, showing corner blitz the whole way. Watch him cheat, cheat, cheat. He's got to see that. But then McPherson turns his back to Golden. He's got to know that he does not have protection to that side and come down to a shorter route.
Blocked! The punt is blocked! Very Virginia Tech-like NC State has blocked 40 kicks since 1998. They get a big one here. Deafening in this place right now. Another safety and 2 more points for the Wolfpack.
17-7 NC State.
And Manny Lawson, a true freshman linebacker, 6'5", with a vertical jump that they say they cannot measure with the device that they have, gets his 3rd punt block of the season.
Lawson had that great punt block against Clemson that Terrence Holt picked up and scored. This is big.
Give him 8 points on the year then, a touchdown for 6 and now a safety. Boy, that's just perfect. You lay out, go to the point of the ball. You work on it every day. Go right to the foot. You want to take that ball right off of the foot.
Well, it's big because now Florida State needs 2 scores.
And the time of possession will now even get more in the favor of NC State. Over 37 minutes of this game, the team in red has had the ball on offense. And for Florida State, the ACC's #1 offense yardage-wise, 102 yards of total offense for Bobby Bowden's squad.
What a difference in body language from sideline to sideline.
Well, but you know, we saw that right at the beginning of the 4th quarter. The NC State guys came together. They had an inspirational speech from Chuck Amato. We looked across the field, and this team from Florida State looked like they didn't want to come out for the 4th quarter.
Fair catch is made at the 44-yard line, and now time becomes a factor for Florida State. Where it was a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, Florida State now needs 2 scores. Bobby Bowden and Florida State have won outright or tied for the conference lead 10 of his 11 years in the Atlantic Coast Conference. He needs to win tonight to win it outright, but he's on the ropes. The final 5:40 of this game will feel like an eternity for NC State. For Florida State, it'll seem like the blink of an eye. First down for the Wolfpack. This is McLendon. Gets a block in the corner. Busted across midfield and into Florida State territory. First down, NC State.
Keep the ball in bounds. Milk the 25-second clock down to 2 or 3 seconds. And you got a guy in Phillip Rivers, a junior, who's been starting since the day he walked onto campus here in Raleigh, who knows how to control a clock at the end of a game.
Rivers checks the clock before he comes up to center. Play clock down to 7. McLendon hit immediately, closed down quickly by the defense. Johnson, Womble, Pope, they were all there for the Seminoles.
And you cannot say enough about T.A. McLendon. There has been twice during this game, and you can see the effect that he's having on this defense for Florida State. He is such a powerful runner. He's taken so much abuse in his right shoulder. He separated about the 3rd day of practice back in August. He did it again against Maryland a couple weeks ago. He has a cast on the right hand, over 100 yards.
Rivers comes to the bottom of the screen now at quarterback. McLendon's at tailback. Back to the line of scrimmage. You know, we talked to Chuck Amato, who beat Bobby Bowden a year ago, and we asked him, what would it be like emotionally for you to do it again?
It would mean another great thing for North Carolina State University. It would still be very tough to go across the field, but I'll do it. And I'd love to do it. And I'd love to do it with a smile this time, and not cry, but not be a baby and cry. It would be a great thing for this program. It's not Bobby versus Chuck. It's, you know, no, not at all. And our program's got such a long way yet to go. I mean, and we're just, that would help it.
3rd down and 9 for Rivers, and the Noles are all over him. Eric Moore with a sack. He'll lose yardage, and it'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, but a real heads-up play. Rivers was still trying to make a play there at the end, and he looked like he was going to try to flip it out. He did a nice job tucking it in so he didn't fumble it.
We want to welcome those of you watching the Michigan State-Penn State game. Tim Brand along with Ed Cunningham and Sam Ryan. NC State upsetting Florida State 17-7 with 3 minutes remaining in the ball game. Florida State needs this win to win the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship outright.
NC State's going to let the 25-second clock run out so they can burn more of the game clock. NC State's blocked 3 Florida State punts today, and it looks to me the way Florida State's lined up, they're going to try to return the favor on this one.
2 safeties in this half. When's the last time you saw that?
Never. There was a holding in the end zone, although I thought a little ticky-tacky on the call, but then Manny Lawson just laid out and blocked that punt. Chance Gwaltney punt beautifully out of the back of the end zone.
Austin Herbert comes on to punt number 30 for NC State. And Leon Washington is standing at his 5. Off the side of his foot, hits at the 19. Touched by Washington. Gets back to the 10, and that's it.
Well, and it looked like Chris Rix had been warming up on the sideline. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Bobby Bowden brings him in.
44-yard punt, 5-yard return. The Noles need a touchdown badly and quickly. .228 remaining. McPherson goes out. Chris Rix comes in. Rix is 6'4", 210-pound sophomore from Santa Margarita, California. They stop this play before it gets going. Ray Willis may have moved.
Quarterback is Chris Rix.
Boy, they just can't do anything right, can they, Tim? Time and time again, they've just absolutely hurt themselves. Now, the quarterback, it's hard to fault Adrian McPherson. I mean, 8 of 20, 80 yards, but he had nowhere to go with the ball all day. This NC State defense played better than anybody, including Chuck Amato, expected them to play.
So McPherson goes out, and the ACC Rookie of the Year from a year ago comes in to replace him. Out of his own end zone, Rix will run out to the 19-yard line, and he's tattooed by Terrence Holt and D'Antonio Burnett.
Boy, they better get going. This is awful lackadaisical the way they're moving around. It's a good pickup, but that takes a lot of time off the clock with that quarterback run.
2nd down and 2 as we go under 2 minutes. Swing pass. 1st down, out of bounds goes Washington. That'll stop the clock. They move the chains. Now here's our Nissan Drive summary, Ed.
It's been the same thing since Florida State. They've gone backwards as much as they've gone forwards in the last 4 possessions. To me, I wasn't a math major, but that looks like 0 yards in 4 possessions.
1:53 left. State needs 2 scores. Rix throws complete. It was close to a 1st down. We'll see where he gets the mark. Thorpe was up near the 35. They'll actually mark it at the 33. So it's not a 1st down. 1:35 to play, and the clock continues to move.
Don't forget, Florida State has already burned 2 of their 3 timeouts for foolish reasons because of personnel problems they had in the punting game one time and then offensively the next.
Rix throws the quick out pattern, and I mean to tell you, Lamont Reed had a beat on it. Time permitting, stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental postgame report. John and Terry will have scores and highlights from around the country. Rivalry weekend in college football, and this has turned into quite a rivalry. These 2 teams have split the last 2 years.
You know, you're obviously going to go for it on 4th down. I might take a shot here. No need.
Terrence Martin came across. Was he drawn?
Prior to the snap, false start. Illegal snap on the
They move Florida State back.
Boy, oh boy. David Castillo's been called for a couple holding calls, and that time he gets called for an illegal snap, which means he just pumped the ball before it was snapped, and that's why Terrence Martin jumped into him.
Now look at the Bowdens, Bobby and Jeff. Watching the precious seconds tick away. Rix throws complete. 1st down, Florida State. Up near midfield goes Dominic Robinson.
Keep in mind, they're down 10. They have to get into field goal range and be smart with the clock. You've got to get down around the 30-yard line so that Beitia has a shot at this field goal, because you still have to score 10 points. Don't be so concerned about long shots to the end zone.
The concern right now is the clock. Rix has it complete? No, incomplete. Dominic Robinson looked like he had it for a second. Did he get it?
Yeah,
he did get it.
Boy, that was a nice catch.
That was an unbelievable catch.
That looked like a short hop, didn't it?
A gain of 13. They move the chains. 1st down, Seminoles. Rix again tries to buy time. He's got to get out of bounds.
Could have kept going.
To the 30. 34 seconds left.
This drive just taking too long, and Florida State has to burn their last time out. Boy, you'd really like to have that in your hip pocket in case you get the ball back.
Rix is moving it pretty well, though. There'll be second guessers saying, why didn't they come in earlier with Rix?
Well, but it's really hard to fault McPherson. I mean, this defense.
I'm not faulting him. I'm just saying, you know, as a spark.
No. I'm saying as a fan, if somebody's sitting at home going that Bobby Bowden should have got Chris Rix in there earlier, but boy, this defense from NC State has played so well. You know,
incredible, those numbers.
Bobby Bowden talks about Chris Rix, and he had a personal meeting with him after he benched him after the Notre Dame game, and said, listen, you've got to get this team behind you. They are not behind you right now, and he's become a much better team player.
Take a look at the Pacific Life game summary.
Well, it's been
tells a pretty good tale, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's all been special teams and defense for NC State. Maddox gets a sack on the blitz. 1 of 3 blocked punts by NC State. Sean Price batting a ball, and they have just swarmed everywhere defensively. And all 6'5" of Manny Lawson reaches out to get a safety. His 3rd block punt of the year.
34 seconds left. NC State by 10. Just not enough time to get it done for the Seminoles. I don't believe. It would take a miracle. Rix, the quarterback, out of the gun. 2nd down. Rolls right, throws back, has the 1st. To the 15-yard line with 26 seconds left.
Got a flag. Boy, I think they're going to get unnecessary roughness after the play by NC State.
Dominic Robinson, the receiver, coming up big in this drive.
Well, Terrence Holt is pointing towards Florida State. It's a block in the back. I think Bobby Bowden's got to think about now bringing in Beitia to kick the field goal. And then you got to try the onside kick and hope to get it back, because you're just running out of time. If you start taking shots at the end zone, you're never going to have enough time for 2 scores.
There's a look at Beitia. .26 seconds left. And from the time this game started, this crowd was so into it, just feeling that this was going to be NC State's night.
Chuck Amato done a marvelous job getting his team ready mentally and physically. Banged up football team coming into this game, and boy, have they played tough.
Block in the back on the passing team, 10 yards. We're still going to have the first down.
NC State has never won 10 games in a season. No team in the ACC has beaten Florida State 2 straight years. But NC State, 23 seconds away from history. First down, Noles. Rix throws for the end zone. Intercepted. It's over. 8 seconds left, and NC State's going to win its 10th game of the year and knock off the Noles 2 straight seasons.
Come on now. Game's not over. Get off the field. Yeah, they're going to have to call this one. Bobby and Chuck are going to have to come together and call this. Those fans aren't leaving. That goalpost has got no chance. Well, you don't want to see that. D'Antonio Burnett, the leader of this defense, can barely walk right now on a sore right ankle.
D'Antonio Burnett limps off. He made the interception. And this is unbelievable.
The fans are booing the fans.
8 seconds remain in the game, and they're trying to tear the goalpost down.
You know, we've had enough problems this year in college football. The incident that happened at the end of the Miami, Ohio, Marshall game. Fans have got to start having a clue.
They're starting to get back into the stands now as the police brigade comes down to the end zone. Here's the interception by Burnett.
Boy, and a bigger player couldn't step up any bigger. Boy, what a catch for a middle linebacker, huh? Came down bad on that right ankle, though. I hope that's not too bad of an injury. He is such a special player for Chuck Amato.
Fans are off the field. Rivers takes a clock play, and that'll do it. NC State goes to 10-3 and has now beaten Florida State 2 straight years. Today's Chevrolet players of the game: Michael Boulware with 11 tackles, 84-yard fumble return for a touchdown, and Phillip Rivers of NC State, 18 of 27, 171 yards, and no turnovers. I repeat, no turnovers. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Once again, our final score: NC State 17, Florida State 7. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. Monday night, join Al and John for ABC's NFL Monday Night Football. The Philadelphia Eagles take on the San Francisco 49ers at 9 Eastern Time. A spectacular scene in Raleigh, North Carolina. For Ed Cunningham and Sam Ryan, I'm Tim Brandt saying so long from Raleigh, North Carolina.